Hello! Oh, I get this working. I can't figure out why. Sorry about that. I had a few problems there. And I'm apparently still having a few problems because I will not be able to see the chat without going into YouTube today. Streamlabs has apparently had a bit of a brain fart. And this is not exactly unusual. It does this from time to time. Hello, Dwight! Baron! HJ. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, a couple of brief issues today. Why is that not showing me the chat window? Yeah, every now and again, Streamlabs does something like this. So today it's had a little bit of a brain fart. Excuse the mic being in the way. I'm just trying to see everything that's going on here at the minute. Okay, that's weird. So yeah, every now and again, Streamlabs, for some reason, loses the stream key and all the information it's previously had for YouTube. It did used to do the same thing occasionally on Twitch as well, and quite often on Mixer. But the thing is, setting up your stream in YouTube is way more complex than it is in Twitch. And I did it the night before, and it was all set up. But for some reason, when I started Streamlabs today, it went, we don't know what service you're trying to connect to. Like, the same one as always, YouTube. You've got all the information. But finding the stream keys and things... On Twitch, you give out a stream key or a connection key to your service, to Streamlabs, and you put the connection key in, you put out the stream key in, right? You do that once, and it goes, Twitch. Got it. Right? On YouTube, you connect it to Streamlabs in a really, really strange way. And then there's an individual stream key for each individual stream. Now, normally that doesn't matter. The way I do it doesn't matter because I just select Go Live. I select the stream that I'm wanting to activate from the list. And everything's hunky-dory. No worries, no problems at all. Everything's fine. But when you lose that and it disconnects from the service, as it did when I went to start it up today, and it said, don't know what you're talking about, that is a lot more complicated, and it's that long since I've done it, I've completely forgotten how. So I just had to basically go in, and when I tried to select the stream key, it was for the wrong stream. It was for an ancient one that I did in Space Crew, and it was just weird. So, you know, that's the way these things work. Sometimes this happens. I was excited for Space Crew for a second. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. Hey, Weevil. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so I do apologise for that, but that's why that happened. It just... Streamlabs apparently decided that today it was going to have a bit of a brain fart. Couldn't find YouTube, didn't know what I was talking about, and since I was by then panicking, because it was 5 minutes to, and couldn't remember how I connected it in the first place because it's so long since I did it, I just went, okay, let's just copy the stream key out of the stream, which is a window I don't normally use. I don't normally use the Go Live. If you don't use YouTube streaming, it's really difficult to picture all this. But on Twitch, you just go, live, I'm playing this game, and these are some tags that I want to put in it, and that's it, you're done. But on YouTube, it's a nightmare. So, welcome to Night's Arcade, for those of you who are out there who haven't been here before, or might be watching this at a later time. I'm Sleepless Night, as the folks that are in the chat at the moment all know very well. Hey Finn, welcome, welcome. And I'm just doing yet another one of these quick, just sort of, the thumbnail is wrong as well now, because I went through all of that. In the end, I picked, it's, just don't even ask. But yeah, we're doing Elite Dangerous. We're going to do an easy sort of break-in stream like we did before. I did one last week, about a week and a half ago. I did one of these. But since Elite Dangerous has now come to Game Pass, I thought new players might want to sort of check it out and drop into the stream and just ask some questions. I gave everyone way too much information at once last time, just because Elite Dangerous is one of those games that is a bit overwhelming, and you just... You know, you come into it and there's just so much to do and so much to learn and so much to remember that it's a bit overwhelming at first. And I didn't really help because I gave a lot of information at once. So this time I'm going to try to take it a little bit steady. I'm going to try to concentrate a little bit more on the chat without losing track of where I am in space. Oh, look, there's my lovely wife. Thank you. With my tea, my Elite Dangerous cup. So for those of you who aren't familiar with me and Elite, I've actually only streamed Elite Dangerous once before, but I've been an Elite Dangerous player. I've been an Elite player. I've been a player of the franchise since 1984, and I've been a major, major fan, and I've been following Elite ever since. I started with Elite Dangerous. I was an early Kickstarter backer. I have the Lifetime Expansion Pass. I started playing it in Alpha. I made videos on Elite Dangerous through Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and in the early days of the main release over on my other channel, but I've been away from it for a while, and I recently restarted Elite Dangerous, which is why, even though for the most part I know what I'm talking about, I have missed a few things. So there are some things I haven't done in Elite Dangerous, and when you look over to my internal panel, which I can't see because I'm not in the Elite Dangerous window. Excuse me. There we go. So when you look over to my Elite Dangerous panel, my combat rank is competent. CQC, I don't have any at the moment. My Explorer rank is Ranger, Trade rank is Broker. So you see all my ranks are quite low, and my money's quite low just because I've restarted the game again quite recently. We are currently in... Well, I don't even know what system I'm in. I haven't played this now for a week, so like I've no idea what system I left. I think I was mining. I think I was deep core mining. Agree. I thought the last one was super informative. Thank you very much, Weevil. Good of you to see. Dwight, hello. Future YouTube viewers have chosen their video selection wisely, but probably can't see this anyway. They should be able to switch the chat on. You can switch the chat on after the fact. I usually leave that on, but since Streamlabs has had a bit of a brain fart this evening and decided to really stab me in the neck 5 minutes before the stream was due to go live, I don't know whether I always select to have the chat. You can click it on or off, the live chat. You can see that as you're rewatching the video. But I didn't double check that tonight like I usually do. So apologies if that's not a thing today. Also, I'm not sure what the lag is going to be like today because normally I double check the night before I stream. Normally I double check these things and I go through them all to make sure, because on YouTube, I came back to YouTube from Twitch because this is where my core audience is. The problem is that as much as I love YouTube and it's my main video platform, it's a bit of a nightmare when it comes to streaming. It really is just way too complicated to set up live streams. Yeah, it becomes easy once you do it time and time again, but again, if there's a hiccup like this, you've got to reset all that stuff and it becomes a bit of a problem. Norm is not unfortunately on because when I'm streaming Elite Dangerous, I can't have the chatbot on because I have to give my computer... My computer is not exactly a potato. Again, this is information for people who aren't familiar. Those of you in the chat will have heard all this before. My computer is not exactly a potato, but it's not... Particularly the GPU is not particularly high-end. So I have to shut everything that's not necessary down. I've got one window open already today that isn't normally because I need to be able to see the chat. And for some reason, Streamlabs isn't displaying it today. I remembered, so I'm just doing it in spirit. Yeah, so where people are writing !norm in the chat, that's plays a sound file that usually welcomes in my regulars. It's to let them, if I'm concentrating on the screen, it's to let me know that a regular just came in so that I can greet them. But it's not, the chatbot isn't on today. Because I run Streamlabs chatbot still, which runs off my computer. If I ran CloudBot, it wouldn't be a problem, but CloudBot can't play audio files, as far as I'm aware. I've looked fairly recently, and it still doesn't seem to be able to. 1984. Yes, 1984. I've been playing the Elite franchise since 1984. Elite Dangerous is just the latest version of Elite, but I've been playing Elite since 1984. And I showed everybody the last time. Here is my little... Oh, good grief. Here is my one of the only pieces of gaming memorabilia I own, and it's the little novella that came with the original version of Elite in 1984. Is that a Knights Arcade mug? This is an Elite Dangerous mug that my wife got me. Evening, folks. That's Geggs. Cumley, something about Wales. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Can't use the stupid jar. I know I can't use the stupid jar. Not today. Sorry, Finn asked a question up here as well that I missed, so... Out of interest, how much money did you pledge to get the lifetime expansion pass? I can't remember. Honestly. A couple of £100, I think. I don't know. But, I mean, they haven't done that. They haven't done the lifetime expansion pass for a really long time. So... So anyway, so we're on there. That's my screen. I am in some system, and I can't remember where it is because I can't remember where I finished. I finished when I was last doing this. It was getting really, really late, and I've just been out on a really long night of deep core mining, and pretty unsuccessful. I mean, I came back with a cargo hold full of void opals, actually, but void opals have been nerfed now. They're not worth quite as much as they were. They're still worth quite a lot. I still made about 20 million from it or something, I can't remember. But so I'm here. Where are all my ships? Oh crap, they're now right, all my ships are down at DCAT again. So let's go and get a better one, since this is my mining ship. We're gonna go to DCAT, and we're gonna get a better ship. This ship's probably going to take a while to get there because this has not exactly been engineered for long frame shift drive jumps. But we're going to go out to DCAT. See, well, I don't really understand why I have a... Oh, I have a mission there, really? Oh, okay. How do I have a mission there? Right. Yeah, so, as you can see, I left myself in a bit of a state, not entirely sure what I was doing or why, because I know I was mining and that's about it, but I wrapped everything up quick at the very nearest place that I was, which is why I'm not entirely sure where I am. So, let's... Ito Orbital. Massacre a syndicate of Jewel faction pirates. Oh, that's a wing mission, so I'm not going to be doing that. I've got a bounty voucher for killing somebody. So no. Riders of the Void. I don't even know where they're located, so I can't collect that unless there's an independent combat bond thing that I can look at here in my contacts. Let's have a look. Don't think so. No. There is not. Yeah. No local combat bond vouchers. So I can't turn any of those in. Alright. So today, I figured one of the things we're going to do is we're going to find it. Since we didn't land on any planets last time, we're going to go and I'm going to show you bimbling around in the SRV, and we'll drop down to a few planets and I'll show you what happens with all of that. Fofi! Hey, Fo! There's Hannah, there's my daughter. Hello. I know I said I was going to call you back again later on, but your little brother has been evil today again, and everything got a bit busy when I was trying to set up the stream, so I'll call you again tomorrow. Sorry about that, folks. I was speaking to my daughter earlier on, then had to call back because our dinner suddenly was ready. So I've plotted a course, so let's get out of here. I don't need anything else. I don't think I've got any ships anywhere else but DCAT at the moment, so this is my mining ship. It is now. It wasn't before, but it is now. Yeah, he's been screaming at the top of his lungs pretty much all day. Things got cray-cray. Oh.
Ship restraints retracted. Clear for egress.
Thank you. Yeah. Poor Amki. They've been a bit cray-cray for Amki all day. Again, if you're watching this, as I said, my computer's not exactly a powerhouse, so although you will get 60 frames per second while I'm sitting in a station, when there are other ships and other things happening, look at that. Whee! Viper pulling into the station. Another thing I should mention is because I'm doing this more of as a teaching thing and a frequently asked questions kind of casual stream, I'm not playing in Elite Dangerous's open world at the moment. So I'm not playing online with other players right now, just because I want to casually sort of relax and show you guys, you know, how things work and answer questions and stuff like that. So as a consequence, I'm not playing in it, but we will at some later point. I'm not going to make Elite Dangerous like a regular weekly thing, just because it's a long story, but it requires an awful lot of messing things around and changing stuff about when I play this, because it requires every single ounce of resources my computer has.
Federal Flight Control signing off.
Thank you. Mordred, welcome back. Excuse the squeaking as well. My seat is a little bit higher when I'm playing this, so you can hear the leather squeaking against the desk. I will find my location and jump there in a second. I'm just... Yeah, Norm! Saw you saying hey there. Just did an overall Norm. Yep. Right. Yeah, I'm trying to slow things down and go a bit more casual. That's not really in the right place. Sorry, my flight stick is not... I just literally... With the problems with Streamlabs, I threw everything around, so I'm not... I haven't got all my flight controller set up. It's not really in the right place. Ah! Bloody thing. But yeah, we're trying to take it a little bit more easy and calm today. And just a little bit more chill than we were before. Not quite as much information at once. And answer a few more questions. How many jumps am I going to have to make? 7 hours and 38 minutes left. Oh, I'll do that. 6 jumps to DC at. How many have I... Wait, sorry. How many have I got to kill, just out of curiosity? 20. I got to... So, this is apparently a job that I must have taken on last week. I must have taken on a bunch of jobs, because usually I do that. I'll take on a load of stuff in the same system. And this was to kill 20 pirates, because with the other jobs that I took on, I figured, well, it'll just rack up. So, you know. Wow. Wow. You guys are a long way behind. Sorry about this. I'm just seeing if I can alter some of these settings mid-stream. I don't think so. Oh, it is on ultra low latency, so why are you so very far behind? Like, way, way behind. William Waller, welcome to the chat. I do see you in there. I will answer that question in just a moment. Sorry, I was just trying to adjust some settings on my stream, but I don't think I'm going to, because I'm afraid it's going to screw everything up. Okay. Right, now I've just got to find out if that's just me that's behind or everybody. Okay. Skip that. Go back here. So, yes. This is obviously a job that I took thinking that I'd scoop up 20 pirates in the in amongst doing other things, and then just didn't. So I actually apparently only killed 3 of the 20 I was supposed to, and then I went off to do some mining. Got bored of that. Went off to do some mining. I got bored of it when they became extremely hard to find. But I'll fail that mission in about 7 hours from now, but I'm not that bothered about it. Right, so we got 6 jumps, so let's jump straight out. And while we're doing that, I will answer William's question. Sorry about this, William. A bit of a hectic stream start today because my stream, Streamlabs just went a bit weird on me. So
Frame shift.
it does that sometimes. Now, once again, as I've said before, if you're making a jump and you have a throttle, wherever you set your throttle, as soon as you start to jump,
4,
wind your throttle back
2,
to 0. My flight controller is getting a little bit old now, so sometimes when I wind it back to 0, it doesn't register, so I may still be accelerating towards the sun. Nope, that's fine. Yep, there we go. So wind your throttle back as soon as you start the jump, and that'll stop you from pinging straight into the sun. As soon as you come into a new system, honk your discovery scanner. Every ship has one, you just have to assign it in your fire groups. Okay, right. So, I've tried to play this game and go looking for tutorials on how various aspects work and end up getting by so overwhelmed I just stop. It is, yes. William, I hope you've come to the right place. It is a very overwhelming... It can be very overwhelming game. Sorry, I just saw something on my scanner. I'm just worried someone's going to try to come by and interdict me. Let's hope not. It can be very overwhelming, yes. The best place to start is by doing... When we get to the other station at the other end, I'll show you... is by doing like courier missions and stack them if you can. So I'll show you what I mean when we get to the other end. But another thing to do is if you just want practice and you don't want to concentrate on time frames and stuff like that, every ship has a discovery scanner. Now, every ship has one of these, but to assign it to a button or a key, you need to head over to your interior panel, which is the panel on your right. Go tab across, see at the top there, tab across to where it says fire groups. And here you have all the different fire groups that you can have on your ship. So basically, when we say fire groups, we're talking about groups of things that are assigned to your primary fire button and your secondary fire button, whatever they are for you, like mouse, left mouse and right mouse, or some keys on the keyboard, whatever you've assigned them to, or if you haven't assigned them, find out what they are. If you don't know how to find out what they are, head into the menu and you go to options here and you go to controls. Now, one of the most overwhelming things about this game is there are thousands and thousands and thousands of controls. Every one of these opens up and expands to have a bunch more controls in it, and inside those there are others that open up. No, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. No. Tuning access is there, right? Oh, joy you. Right, sorry. Yeah, that was a stupid thing to do. Camera, right, that's in full spectrum system scanner, so that's cool. That's exactly what it was before. I haven't changed anything. So yeah, every one of these opens up. You know, you've got all sorts of other keys, so there's a lot to do. I always say that this game is much more manageable with a flight controller than with anything else. But if you can't afford or don't have or don't really want to bother getting a flight controller, or if you're playing it on a console and you don't have, I mean, you can get flight controllers as consoles, but if you don't have one and you have to use mouse and keyboard, it's tough. The way I do it is I bought a really, really cheap, when I first started playing this, I bought a really, really cheap keyboard, which I've dedicated just for this game, and then I bought a bunch of stickers. So it was like, I think it was like £10 or something like that. Quite simple and straightforward, really. No real issues. So yeah, not particularly expensive, but if you plan on doing it long term and you find that you really do want to get into it, you know, do that. Back to the game menu and resume. Okay. So, once you know what your primary and secondary fire buttons are, head over to your right-hand panel here and tab across to where it says fire groups. So you only got one button for primary and one button for secondary fire. So obviously you cannot have everything that you can activate in that one thing, because otherwise all your systems would activate at once, and it would not make any sense at all to you or anybody else. So what you need to do is assign what is on your primary fire and what is on your secondary fire, and to make it more manageable, you have a key, and you can find it in the controls list I just listed, or you can map it to a different key binding if you want, and that is fire groups, and it moves from one fire group to another. So to show you what I mean, at the moment you can see on this fire group I have my surface scanner, if you look at my screen there, and my discovery scanner. So my discovery scanner is on primary fire, right, and there's no planet to scan, so I can't, there's no planet in range. But if there was, we could go into the surface scanner, which fires probes, which will help you map planets. I'm not going to go into that right now, but that's just to let you know what that is. Okay? But that's my primary fire and my secondary fire. So I need other things to activate, but I can't. I've already used up my primary and secondary fire, so now I move across to my next fire group. And here I have, on this particular ship at least, I have prospector limpets for finding cores in the inside of large asteroids. And since I'm in the wrong mode for you to see, oh, I'm in Super Cruise, which is why I can't use the other one. I can't show you what the other one is because it doesn't work in Super Cruise. But the other one with the prospector limpets is a pulse wave scanner, which helps to scan for asteroids that have minerals in them. If I go, but that's two fire groups. So if I now move across again, unfortunately, anything that can't be used in Super Cruise, which is where I am now, I'm flying at like sublight speeds, is you won't be able to see. But if we tab across the fire groups, you'll see. See, surface scanner, discovery scanner, collector limpets is on another one of my fire groups, and of course, you can also change modes. So within each fire group is a combat mode and like a systems mode. So combat mode is there. And this all sounds really, really complicated, but it does come to you if you start sort of getting the hang of it. But what you'd need to do is set your discovery scanner. That's all you need for starting out. Set a discovery scanner into one of these fire groups. So make sure it's mapped to your primary or secondary fire button. Mine here is in fire group, in the first fire group, is mapped to my primary fire, which for me is there on my joystick. So map your discovery scanner to that, and just leave the station, head out, and just jump from one system to another, and whenever you jump in, just hold down that primary fire to set your discovery scanner off. It will charge, and it will give you a very rough layout of everything that is a system. So it will map, very basically and very roughly, it will map everything that is in the system. You can go into much more detail. You can scan every single signal in the system. You can scan every planet. You can actually scan the surface of every planet, and you can even go down to the surface of most of them. But for the time being, just go from system to system and honk that discovery scanner, and then move to the next system. And when you've collected a bunch of those, let's go around this star so we can... Oh, hello. Sorry, excuse me a moment. I'm being pulled out of...
Scan detected.
I don't think I'm carrying anything, so he'll probably just run off. Wait for my frameshift drive to cool down. When he scans me, another empty cargo hold. My children will go hungry tonight. Yes, he's not interested in me because I'm not carrying anything. So that's a pirate pulling me out of Super Cruise. And now he's going to leave. Let's target him on the scanner if we can. He might be a bit too far away now. There he goes. He is wanted for something. But this ship is my mining ship. It's got bare minimum weapons, so I'm not going to start firing out. Yeah, he's disappeared now. He's gone. I mean, I can expand my sensor range. No, he must have gone into Super Cruise. Because he's off the scope completely now. Whee. So let's head for the next system. If I've said something, because there's so much information to take in this game, of course, as you know, that is why the game becomes overwhelming quite quickly when you first start. So if I've given you a bunch of information that you didn't quite catch, please don't be afraid to ask further questions, and I will expand on any one, or I'll repeat what I've said or something like that. It's fine. I completely get... Believe me, you're talking to the right person if you want to talk to someone who doesn't get this stuff. The only reason I was not overwhelmed by Elite Dangerous is because I started in Alpha when all there was to do was you would log in, it would put you in the ship in an asteroid field, and you just had to shoot at another ship. That was it. It was a tutorial in an asteroid field, and there was nothing else. And then Beta came, and they had docking at stations, and then they expanded the galactic map and through Gamma, and then main release. So I discovered these things, like most people who played it in the beginning, one little thing at a time. If I'd had to take on board all this at once, I'm pretty sure I don't know how I'd have felt about it. But now that we're not in Super Cruise, I can show you what the other thing I was talking about. So now that we're not in Super Cruise, you'll be able to see the other things that are in my fire groups. So there you go. So on this fire group, in analysis mode, which is the blue thing, on my HUD anyway, is the blue thing, you can see I've got pulse wave scanner and a prospector. Now, pulse wave scanner helps you scan for stuff like asteroids that have minerals in that you might want to mine, stuff like that. You have to buy that. This is all stuff that I've got on this particular ship. You don't need all of this stuff if you're just exploring around. On my next fire group, I've got a data link scanner. Oh, and my seismic charges, which I don't want to fire right now, so... My data link scanner has nothing to scan, so it won't work. Then I've got an abrasion blaster and collector limpets. Again, they're mining tools. You don't need them on every ship. You only need to learn that stuff if you're going to go mining. How many cup holders does the cockpit have? Ooh, that's a good question. Does it have any? I don't know. Oh, can you see how it's deployed my... See, these are my abrasion... No. Yeah, beam laser, abrasion blaster. So now let me switch modes into combat mode. There you go. Now, multi-cannons and beam lasers. So, there we go, look. Alright, they're up on hard points somewhere on the top of the ship, which I can't see right now. These are my abrasion blasters, I think. So if I swap to the abrasion blasters and switch mode, it'll tell you to switch mode there. It'll tell you I can't fire these in combat mode. See? Like, there you go. So hopefully there's nothing to fire at, but I think they should fire anyway, and you should see these cannons at the left and the right of me here go off. There you go. Whee! That's my abrasion blaster. It's a mining tool. So, you know, we don't need that at the moment. So we put away those, you'll watch them retract. There they go. Bye! Clunk. There you go. So that's... Now you have to retract all your weapons, what they call hard points, fixed points on the ship that you can attach cannons and tools and utilities and things like that to. You have to put those away or you can't go into Super Cruise. So Super Cruise is in-system travel, which we charge by doing this.
Charging. Ready to engage. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Whee! I haven't seen any cup holders yet, Weevil. Oh, so...
Fuel scoop disengaged.
As I flew past the star there and it said fuel scooping, if you're not familiar with that, I have a fuel scoop attached to my ship. These don't come as standard. You have to buy one. I have a fuel scoop attached to my ship because sometimes you're traveling across large areas of space where there are no humans, no human habitat. So there are no stations that you can refuel at. there are no settlements or planetary bases or anything like that, so you can't refuel. And the only way to refuel is by scooping fuel directly from the star. So you have to fly within its corona, deploy your fuel scoop, and slowly it will fill up your tank. But you will overheat quite quickly if you're not careful. It's another thing you don't need to do in the beginning. It's just when you start getting more familiar with the game. You don't need that right in the beginning. So now we're in Super Cruise, which is in-system travel. Now we're going to move to interstellar travel.
Frameshift drive charging.
So it's now charging for a hyperspace jump to this next system.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Make sure you're vaccinated before scooping Corona. Again, once you're in hyperspace, or this is sometimes referred to as witch space, throttle back. Make sure you don't dive straight into the star when you come out the other side. There is my next target. So I'll move around. I'll fly. Honk your discovery scanner again. Oh, when you're in the right fire group, which I'm not, because I was showing you the fire group. So there we go. Fire off your discovery scanner again. There you go. Now, I don't know if you're actually still in here, William. I do hope so. It is overwhelming. I try to go slow, but there's so much information to give. What that does is it gives you a very basic, rough scan of the system that you're in. As I said, you can, if you really start to fall in love with exploring, there are deeper scanners that you can get, and you can scan in all sorts of different ways, all sorts of different things. But what the purpose of that is to sell that data to Universal Cartographics. So when we get to the station at the other side, I will show you the data that I've collected just by pressing that trigger as I'm flying around. So I'm not having to do anything extra except hold that trigger down. So we go around the star. If we move up a bit, it'll scoop fuel for a minute.
Fuel scooping.
But I'm going too fast because I'm not worried about it. I don't think I need any extra fuel to reach where I'm going. I should probably have checked.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
There we go.
Frameshift drive charging.
Make sure you're a little bit away from the star. If you've done that and you're fuel scooping, make sure you're a fair distance from the star before you engage your frameshift drive, because otherwise your ship will overheat very, very fast.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Do you use the scanner every time, even if you've been there before? If you've been there before, it won't benefit you at all, but it doesn't hurt. I mean, there's 400 billion stars to visit in this game, or star systems with more stars in them, so it doesn't hurt to just honk the scanner anyway, because it takes, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6-7 seconds it takes to do that as you're traveling around. And you won't always be able to remember where you've been before, so I just do it every time. It'll still work. The only difference is you won't get paid any money for that exploration data if you've already sold it. So you can see now that my temperature is at 60%. If you look at my HUD there, it's going down 52, 49, 47. I usually wait until it goes below 50% to engage the frameshift drive. Otherwise your ship will overheat. This sort of stuff is the stuff that you'll pick up quite quickly once you start moving around. Yeah, if you've been there before, it's no use, but it doesn't hurt. It's not like it won't let you do it. It just... you won't be able to sell that data, that's all. Because you've already sold it. But again, as I said, once you get used to doing just basically that, and if you like exploration... whoopsie. So again, honk your discovery scanner. 6-7 seconds is all it takes. There you go. Now I have basic data for this system. Now, how many jumps have I got left? 2. I'll tell you what we'll do. When we reach our final destination, I'll show you just briefly before we go to the station the full system scanner. I won't do a lot in it. I'll just show you one of the other things that you can do. What do you call it when you drive it? Scan every planet. Oh, full system scan. Yeah. Full system scan, or you can also do surface scanning of planets as well, of course. Back to work. Have a great stream, SK, and a great day. Thank you very much, Dwight. It's good to see you, buddy. I'm sorry I haven't said more of a hello. Always good to see you, my friend. Have a good day at work. I'm sorry you can't chill out and relax with us, and I'm sure you are as well. But enjoy the rest of it as best you can, buddy.
Frameshift drive.
Be right back. Okay, Gegs. Is this our last jump? This isn't it? No, it can't be, because we're going to call 285. I've got one more after them. Because the last jump is to DCAT, which is where all my other ships are, so... I think they are. Watch when I get there, I'll find that I've got 2 ships somewhere else. I don't know. I hope all my ships are there, because I don't want to do this entire episode in this vessel. Because it's a bit useless in a fight, so... And... it doesn't have an SRV, I don't think. Oh, sorry about the frame rate drop there, folks.
System scan complete.
There you go. Once again, now we're heading to DCAT. Now, before we go to DCAT, I will show you... So you see my fuel gauge in the bottom right-hand corner here. It says fuel. You've got 2 little lines on your fuel gauge. It's really kind of difficult for me to show you, but... you can actually see it better doing that. But you've got 2 little lines on your fuel gauge. One is the thicker orange bar with the little blue bit in it. That little blue chunk, that shows you how much fuel you're going to use jumping between here and your next destination that you've got locked in. So this next jump will take that. Now the thinner bar, if you were watching just at that second there, you'll have seen that just refilled. The thinner bar at the top is your in-system fuel. So that's the fuel you use traveling within a star system. And that drops fairly rapidly, but when it empties, it automatically refuels from the main tank. So you usually don't have to worry about that. I know Baron had a situation, Baron in the chat there had a situation quite recently where he really, really had to worry about that because both his fuel bars got really low, and if you run out of fuel, you're in trouble. You can call that the Fuel Rats, which is an in-game group that come out and refuel players, which is fun. But of course that only works in the open world, where there are other players who wouldn't work here. I think I've done the Discovery scanner when I arrived here. I can't remember now, but let's just honk it anyway. So this would have worked sublimely in VR. You could have pointed your finger. I could have pointed my finger. You are correct. I'm sorry about that. I can't at the moment, but yeah, I have to give rough directions. So, to make sure you don't run out of fuel, again, William, if you're still listening, you don't have to worry about this too much in the beginning. I would just get out there and explore and get used to the controls and basics of flying around. That was a very close call indeed. Your fuel, yeah, from that shot you showed me, I looked very close. So just get used to the basics of flying around. Don't do anything too complicated. And jump between systems, jump out, make fairly long runs, and then, collect that scan data as you go. But as you get further along, you will want to make journeys to systems that are so far away that you have to go across dark space. So wide expanses of space where there is nowhere to refuel. There are no stations. And then you have to refuel from a star. Now, you can't refuel from all stars, but you can from most. So if you fuel scoop a little bit every time you jump, you really shouldn't ever run into any problems. Would you say that I should collect data at first primarily and then going around doing courier missions until I'm sort of more comfortable with the game? Yeah, definitely. I would say just do simple stuff like that. When I get to this station in a moment, I'll show you what I mean by doing courier missions and stuff like that. Cargo runs, a lot of people start with, but it's difficult to do cargo runs and make any money to start with because the ship that you get to start with is so small, you can't get much cargo in it. So start off doing courier missions and just data collection. It sounds dull, but you do get... today, during the stream, I'm going to take you to see at least a crash site and possibly a deserted medical research centre in LP 38995. And then there's a crash site somewhere else, and I'll talk about that. We'll go down to a planet and we'll do that. But if you're stranded in dark space, so when you start exploring more, don't worry about this right now, but I'm just giving you the info. When you start exploring more, you'll occasionally have to go across these wide expanses of space with no stations or settlements in them at all. They're not inhabited by humans. So there's nowhere to refuel except at a star. So you need, really, if you're going to go any decent distances, to fit a fuel scoop to your ship. And then what you need to do is just gently nudge the speed up a little, and you'll see that. Can you see that yellow line that appeared around the star there? That is the star's exclusion zone. If you fly inside that, you're toast, basically. But if you fly, this will all happen automatically. You don't need to set your fuel scoop going or anything. You just need to fly close enough to the star, and it will do that automatically. So then you stay at a mid sort of speed, and just keep yourself, but watch your temperature. See the heat there? 59%. Watch that closely when you're fuel scooping. Very closely. I've seen people panic when it gets up to 72, 73%, because you start to get a warning, I think, at about 79, 80% heat level. You'll get a warning. Don't worry too much about it. I mean, you do want to fly away from the star if you can at that point, but don't panic. It takes quite a lot to do damage to your ship. I got caught in the gravity well of a neutron star once, and my temperature level went up to about 133% before I was able to escape. Bit of damage to the ship, but everything was basically fine. Now you can see it's visually overheating now. You see, you start to get smoke and steam rising from the cockpit, but the fuel tank is refilling. If you have a Super Cruise Assist module, which you can, as a module you can buy to fit to your ship, you can actually orbit stars and collect fuel without the danger. I've never done it, but I understand you can do that.
Disengaged.
Great way to earn a few bucks. I found discovering and scanning is worth a lot more. It is, yes. When we go into DCAT, is it too early to mention the road to riches? No, absolutely not. If you, what Baron is talking about there, the good thing about Elite Dangerous is there's a lot of support in this community, and it has more third-party tools than almost any game I can think of. So there are websites all over the place affiliated with Elite Dangerous that you can use to discover strange locations and things like that you might want to check out. You can find out where's the nearest system that has a certain kind of module you want to fit to your ship. You can find out all sorts of things. One of the tools is called, if you search for Elite Dangerous Road to Riches, and all you have to do there is, there's some information, it's very, very basic, the site, and you put the system that you're in, and you'll put, like, there are two modes in it. One is a straight line mode, which means you put the system you want to travel to and the system that you're in, and you put a number in, so it's like how far you want to wander off course, right? And what that does is it gives you a list of nearby systems along your route, or, you know, off to the sides of your route while you're en route to that location, that you can visit, that will make you the most money by scanning them. So sometimes this will be a neutron star or a white dwarf or something like that, or or, you know, sometimes it'll be an Earth-like world that you can scan for. Sometimes it'll be a terraformable water world or a high metal content world or something like that. But it'll tell you all these things. It'll tell you, when you go on the site and you put in this data, it will say, here are all the systems. It will tell you how far away each one is from where you are. Now, how far it is from your final destination. It gives you a ton of information, but basically it just lists what things in that system are worthwhile. So the systems that you'll pass close by that are worth scanning, because the data from that system will be worth more than data from other systems. So, for example, if you find an Earth-like world, a terraformable water world, or a high metal content world, or a neutron star, or something like that, scanning all of those things will give you more money. If you scan them up close and personal and do a surface scan of the planets that it mentions, you will get even more money. And this is actually, it's a much quicker and easier way to make money than doing courier jobs, I think. Much, much easier and quicker. So let's make our final jump, and I'll give you a quick look at what I'm talking about. But Road to Riches, Elite Dangerous Road to Riches, you don't have to do it between systems either, because there's another mode.
Ready to engage. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
There is another mode in the Road to Riches, which is if you just want to go out and explore nearby systems with data that is worth a lot of money. Thank you. You get that when you reach your final logged-in destination. Good idea to win. Well, I'll show you. The Discovery Scanner, I wouldn't invest in the scanning equipment right up front. You can if you wish, but the Discovery Scanner, which I'm using as I go in, I'm scanning this system, but I come to this system all the time, so... oh, one other thing I should mention about the scan data is you can only sell it once you get more than 20 light years from where you collected it. So I cannot sell DCAT scan data within the system of DCAT. I just can't, because why would they want it? Like, oh, look, there's a station here. You know, yeah, I know, mate, you're on it. We didn't need to know that. I know what's on that planet. That's the planet we're orbiting. They know this stuff. So you have to get more than 20 light years from where you collected the data. Now, if I move away from the star a little bit, which I like to do, first of all, let's find out where my ships are at. I think they're at Garai Terminal. So let's lock that in. We lock that in, and then the little compass that you can see there, I do wish, as Baron says, that I could point, but if you look, the central scanner, the big disc that's in the center there, to the left of that, you'll see a little tiny orange circle with a little blue circle in the middle of it. That is your compass, and that is to align you with the object or planetary body or ship or whatever it is that you currently have selected. When that blue dot is hollow, like it is now, if you look at the compass, that little orange circle, you'll see the little blue dot that's moving around there is hollow now. When it's hollow, that means that the object you're targeted is behind you. When it's solid, that means it's in front of you. So there you go, now the station is in front of me. I need to come out of the way of the star though first. Let's just make sure we've gone far enough past the star so I don't incur any heat damage or... I find if you're trying to get used to the game, it's better off to start in a private group or in solo mode, just till you get the hang of it, you know. I mean, if you want to throw yourself in at the deep end, go straight into open world mode, and I definitely recommend that is where you play it for the most part. But if you're just starting the game, don't add the complication of other players if you can avoid it, because there's a lot to figure out. Right, so we're far enough away from the star now. So if you have, if you want to get better scan data, you'll head, as I have here, you can get into full system scan mode, which takes you into this mode, right? We're not going to go any further because this is the station, this is the system we need to be in to collect my other ships. So in full system scan mode, the first thing you're going to need to do, usually, I've already honked the discovery scanner, so you won't need to. But if you do, once you get into this, it'll tell you to press that. And you just hold it down. You can hear the noise. Right. Then you'll be able to use the tuner, which is the thing that you see at the bottom. Don't worry about that message. You'll be able to use the tuner. Now, you'll have to look through your controls. I have remapped virtually every single control in the game has been remapped for me. Almost every one. I've remapped them all myself. And it takes a long time. And you might have to experiment, saying, well, I prefer that on this button or that button. But it's worth taking the time to do. But whatever the button is to use your tuner in the spectral analysis, use that. See these little light blue dots? You'll see a little dotted circle there. So go in there. Hey, Beth. Welcome, welcome. And then use your tuner, whatever button that is, look at your controls for your full system scan. And tune until... There you go. Now you see that dotted circle has gone solid now. Right, so then you can... Now that it's gone solid, you've tuned in on that frequency and you can zoom in to see what it is. In this case, it's a fleet carrier. Okay? Oops. So back out. Go to the next one. This will probably be a fleet carrier as well because it's on the same wavelength, same frequency. There you go. So it's another fleet carrier, right? There are a lot of fleet carriers in this system because this is a very popular system because one of the first engineers that you will unlock, no need for you to learn what that is right now, but one of the first engineers you'll unlock can be found here in DCAT. That's why all my ships are here, because I'm slowly upgrading them. So there you go. This is on a different frequency. So now we have to find out what this is. Let's tune it. There you go. Encoded emissions. Sometimes that's data that's worth something. But it should probably give you a time... 18 minutes, 40 seconds remaining until that degrades to the point where you can't scan it anymore. So, you know, there's all sorts of stuff. And then you can find there's a belt cluster there. If you keep going, you find other things. Up here, look. What is that? Oh, that's the nav beacon, right. Of course it is. Here. That's a cluster, an asteroid cluster. Okay, now I saw some... There we go. Somewhere within this... One of these is weapons fire, so somewhere there's a fight going on. So it's like a convoy, maybe. No, that's weapons fire. Right, so there's a battle going on there. Somewhere within this system, at that location, there's a battle. If you want to go there, you just would press whatever keys you'll lock on within the full system scan and lock on to that point. As Baron says, this is actually incredibly fun to do. It probably looks quite dull when you're doing it, when you're watching other people do it. But if you're deep in space and you're scanning a system, sometimes, you know, you'll find nothing but planets and you'll go, okay, that's an ice world, or that's whatever it is, right? And sometimes it might seem quite dull, but other times you'll find something really unique, like a signal that it doesn't recognize, and you have to go and find out what it is. Sometimes that might be alien wreckage or something. So here we go. There's another little thing out here. You'll learn to identify these quite quickly, but just tune it. That sounds to me like a convoy dispersal pattern, but no, it's a fleet carrier. Okay. Similar sort of sound, those signals. But you'll learn to recognize these. Now, this is the second level of scanning. So, the first is to just honk your system scanner, discovery scanner, when you come into the system. That's the easy one. Every ship has one. You can do it as you're traveling along. It takes a few seconds. You can do it while you're flying around the star to align yourself with your next destination. Just keep that button held down. It costs you nothing. It takes a couple of seconds. And if you do it whenever you travel anywhere, just do it every system you ever come to. Then you don't have to keep in your head which ones you've scanned already and which one you haven't. So, Just do that. So that's the first level, the discovery scanner. You will get one of those on any ship. All you've got to do is find the right button. So assign it to the fire group, as I was talking about before. The second level is to do a full spectral analysis, like a full system scan like this. And you can identify every single place. So every single target in the system, everything that's sending out any kind of radio signal. Planets, of course, do that. Stars. Look, clusters of asteroids. Fleet carriers. And you'll find stuff like that. Now, let's say, I'm not going to do this in the system scan mode because it's easier if I just go into the system map since I've been here before. So if I look at the system map and I just, let's say, and this is the planet I'm going to, but I've scanned it many, many times. So let's go here, right? Incidentally, if you really, really do get into... whoops, YouTube kicked me out. Oh dear. Is some of this data recollectable? No. Once you've collected the data, that's it, it's gone. But especially when you're in the open world with other players, the data that you'll find when you're in the full system scan will change because there'll be different things going on in that system the next time you come through.
Mission critical message.
Thank you. Those things that weren't there before. So, like, if you look here now, in the system map, you'll see where it says DCAT 2, arrival point, 36.98 light seconds. So the arrival point, that is how far that particular planetary body or object or station, whatever it is, that's how far it is from the parent star. So in this case, that's 36.98 light seconds from the star. It'll take us no time at all to get there. And we'll go there and I'll show you, I think, assuming I have one on this ship. I should check just to see. Assuming I have one, I'll show you how to do a scan of a planetary body. And that's sort of level 3 of scanning data. So there's an awful lot... Oh, hello. I'm being interdicted by pirates again. What do you want? I haven't got any cargo, mate. I'm not carrying anything. Oh, you wait till I get my combat ship. You don't want to be scanning me then. Next time you should fill your hold with gold. Well, I haven't got any, so... Sling your hook, buddy. Right, sorry, sorry about that. Mild inconvenience. Back to the system map. So, here you will see that it says the arrival point, and then it says high metal content world. That's the kind of world that it is. And then it says first mapped by, right? Photonic. Now that person is a player in the Elite Dangerous universe. So one of the benefits to exploring, apart from finding stuff that nobody's ever seen before, is that there's a lot of the Elite Dangerous galaxy out there still to explore. I've explained this before, but at the Frontier Dev reckon that at the current rate of exploration, it will take all the Elite Dangerous players in the world 25,000 years to visit every star. That's a lot of places to visit. There's a lot of empty space. No matter how much people have mapped and discovered, there's lots more to do. So, if you want to discover completely new systems that nobody has ever discovered before, you have to make really long trips out and try to find a place that no one has been to. If you are the first person to map and sell the data from that planet, your name will be in the Elite Dangerous universe forever. For as long as Elite Dangerous exists, your name will be there on that object or star or planet or whatever it is. When Elite Dangerous Odyssey arrives later this year, when we can finally walk around on planet surfaces and interact with other people, other players and NPCs, they're adding another level to that, which is, they're calling it first footfall. So it's the first person to place their footprint on a planet for the first time ever will also have their name forever in the Elite Dangerous universe. So we are going to go here, just so that I hope I can show you what I'm talking about, if I have a surface scanner, which I might not in this vehicle, because that's not what I use this one for. Yes, I do. Yeah, okay, well, I've got one, so we should be good. So that pirate pulled me out of Super Cruise. So now I've got to go back in, activate my frameshift drive.
Frameshift drive charging.
Oh, what's the message?
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Right. Comm panel. Delivery contract. This person wants me to go out to... wants me to go and find some data. But he's only willing to pay me 132,000 credits. That is not worth my time. No, go away. Sorry. So, we're going out to planet DCAT 3. Got your name on some planets. Me? Actually, I don't know. I started doing this game so early that it is possible. I don't think so, but it is. But I mean, there were a lot of players at it that first, and I never really ventured far enough out to get an unexplored place. But since I was playing it so early, it is possible that I have. But I don't know. So let's go out to this planet. Sorry, way too fast. Not concentrating. Use the gravity of the planet to slow me down a bit. I've said this before, but when slow down comes up on your little thing there above the scanner, that's not asking you to slow down. It's telling you that you are experiencing slowdown from a nearby massive object. Like a planet. So here we are, DCAT 3. That should be close enough there anyway. Don't really need to get any closer than that. There we go, that's good enough. Right. Has to be a tool out there to check. Yes, there is, I think, but I don't... There's a tool out there for everything in Elite Dangerous, but I don't know what that one would be. So, let's say you've used your Discovery Scanner to get the basic data, and you've used the full spectral analysis that I showed you about before, which is, if you want to go deeper into Discovery, use the full spectrum analysis, and you collect more data from that system, which means more money when you sell that data, because your data is more detailed, so you get more money for it. But the real money comes when you do planetary surface scans of Earth-like worlds, or terraformable water worlds, or high metal content worlds, or anything like that you can find on the road to riches. It doesn't have to be any of those. You'll get more money for any planet that you scan. But you'll get more money than a basic scan for any planet you scan. But if you do it on those particular worlds, that's worth... Then you're up in the data then for that system goes up into the millions. So it goes upwards of 1 million credits. It racks up very, very quickly. Got your name on some planets. You got your name on some planets, have you, Baron? There you go. See, Baron has. I think it's special. I think it's cool. So, go into your service scanner, like I showed you before. You can only do this in Super Cruise. If you drop out of in-system Super Cruise travel, you can't do this. Right, okay. So, here we go. And you fire probes. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see there's a blue bar that goes down, and underneath that it says efficiency target 7 probes. This actually does impact how much money you get paid. So the more efficient your scan is, the more money you'll get. Now you can upgrade your scanner with engineers and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So 7 probes. So if I do it in fewer than 7 probes, I get more money for it. I won't get a lot because it's DCAT. It's a highly populated system. I've been here lots of times before. It's not really terribly worthwhile data, but, you know, let's fire one off. So I always start... You can do this any way you like. I always start by firing one dead at the center of the planet, and usually I've fired them all off by now already and just let them seek their targets, but I'll do one at a time to show you how it goes up. And you see the percentage in the bottom left. You can see the scan radiating out around the planet. So if you upgrade your scanner, basically that scan area becomes wider, and it scans faster, stuff like that. So you can upgrade your scanner to improve these things. So now we've got 19% mapped, and we've got 6 probes left to use if we want to hit our efficiency target. It doesn't matter if we don't hit it, but to get more money, that's what you want to do. So the next thing is we'll go up here. Now you'll see there's a tiny little dotted line. If you do that, that should basically take it to the pole of that planet. So if I hit on that dotted line, it'll scan, I guess, the pole of the planet as I'm looking at it now. So let's fire that, and it'll drop in right on the top. Or it should do. Peace out. You ever see people referencing Elite Dangerous on Twitter and stuff like that, by the way, and you see people using that mark, 07? It is because it's supposed to look like a little... That 07 is supposed to look like a little person saluting. That's why they all say that. So, right, there you go. 2 probes, and it's 35% scan. So let's do the same thing on the bottom. So, like I said, once you get used to it, normally I'd have fired all these probes off long ago, but I usually... you don't have to wait for one to impact to fire the next one. You can just go like that, and then go around to the side, fire another one. You don't have to wait for them all to drop. You can do them all at once. It's fun to see your name, though. Good man.
Scanned by 50%.
63%. Right, now, of course, there's a side of the planet you can't see. And you can't see it without coming out of this mode and resetting it, right? Because you'd have to go around the planet. But the probe can go around the other side of the planet. So if you... The way I do it, if you go here, that'll hit the side of the planet, right? So if you go all the way out to the left here, or up or down or wherever, eventually you get to a point where it'll say miss, which means the probe's going to miss the planet entirely, right? If you then come in a little ways, I usually do it either halfway between the dotted line and miss, but quite often, if you just move until that mist disappears, then fire it, this now should map the back side of the planet, the dark side of the planet. Well, not the dark side, but the dark side of the planet from my perspective. So the side of the planet I can't see. That probe will now find it. Sorry, I'm watching a person in Super Cruise come in there, wondering if they're going to try and pull me out. There we go, 80% scanned, right? Now, I still have 2 probes to hit my efficiency target, but you only actually have to get that number up to 90%, not 100. Once it hits 90, it'll automatically fill in the rest. So here, we hit that about... Well, let's just do it on the side there. Ugh. Sorry, I have my flight controls as every person should be, but these aren't inverted. When I come in this mode, it's different, so... It doesn't reset. It always used to. How about that? There you go. I mean, you shouldn't need to come out of it anyway. You can always fire your probes around the backside. There you go. That should now... 89, 90. There you go. Once it reaches 90, 100%. I used, what, 6 probes there? Can't remember. And then it'll tell you that there are 15 signals detected on that planet. On and around the planet, by the way, that is. When you do a surface scan, it isn't just... It's called a surface scan, but it isn't just the surface. It's the surface and low orbit. So... 15 signals detected, 5 geological, 10 human. Now, when we go down to a planet a bit later, I'll show you about exploring geological areas of geological interest, usually where you can find materials that you will then use to take to engineers to improve the modules on your ship. But we will do that later. Now, we're going to go to the station and get my other ship. So yeah, if you want to... That's like the 3rd level. And when you go into the full spectrum scan, which is like the mid-level, you'll find signals and things within that. Now, some of those signals themselves can be approached and scanned with other scanners. There's like a whole bunch of different scanners you can get in this game. You don't need to know all this information. If you ever decide you're going to go for detailed exploration and trying to find all the really interesting stuff that you can find dotted around the galaxy, then, you know, then you want to get that sort of stuff. But it's not really all that important if you don't want to. Right, there you go. So Garai Terminal is now 61.7 light seconds away. Now, anybody that is still in there, William, if you're still in there and you're wondering, there is a thing that I cover whenever I talk to anybody about this, because it is a problem that almost all new players have. And not just new players, but like experienced players. This happens to me all the time. If I'm not concentrating, I just fly right past it in a heartbeat. It's called the loop of shame. Within the Elite Dangerous universe, they call it the loop of shame. And it's when you're aiming for a target in system and you accidentally overshoot it and have to come around and try again. So they call that the loop of shame, right? To avoid doing this, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can keep doing that all week and, like, struggle to get any closer. To avoid doing it, what you need to do is find a key or a button on your controller somewhere that you can map in your key bindings to 75% power. That is a very important number. So find a key somewhere that you can map to 75% power. Now, if you look, it says Garai Terminal, 61.7 light seconds from my current position. And where it says 7.1D, that means is at my current speed, it's going to take me 7.1 days, real time, to reach that. Because I'm barely moving. Right? You'll see that number start to count down rapidly as I accelerate towards it. There you go. Now it's hours. In a second it'll come down to minutes once we escape the gravity of the planet. And you want to watch that timer very closely and keep your finger on the 75% button. Keep it close by. Don't press it. Just make sure you're ready to press that 75% power button. Hey, Alex. Welcome, buddy. Watch that counter go down. 30 minutes, 26 minutes, because we're accelerating towards it, so those minutes are obviously going down quite quickly now. We're still a little bit being slow. We're just accelerating away from that planet. Now we're picking up real speed. Right, once that timer reaches 7 seconds, now don't worry about how quickly the seconds are going past at the moment. That will slow right down. But once it gets to 7 seconds, hit the 75% key. Just remember that. So now it's 20 seconds. See how it's slowing down? 13, 12, 10, 9, 8, 7. There you go. 7 seconds, hit the 75% power. This is how you avoid doing the loop of shame. But it's easy. I mean, it's not a big problem. If you miss, you just turn around and do it again. But all these ships heading towards this station. Now, the station I want is just to the left of the planet. There we go. On the bottom of the screen on the left here, you'll see a three-dimensional holographic representation of the station that I am approaching. If possible, though you don't really need to worry about this at first, if possible, try to align yourself as you approach so that you can see the mail slot, so the docking port. You don't have to do this. It's not important. You just fly around. It just takes another minute or two. But once you get into jobs like smuggling, this becomes important. Because you need to... So the mail slot or the docking port of a station is always facing the body that it orbits. Whoopsie, got a bit too close. Okay, once it says press J to disengage, drop out of Super Cruise. And there's the mail slot. So I wasn't quite aligned with it, but, you know.
Delay 6 Sierra Lima Echo. We've prepared a landing pad for your arrival, Commander. Welcome to our station.
Thank you. There you go. Sorry, just enjoying the music of Elite Dangerous there for a moment. Right. Just trying to align myself a little better. So now, request docking permission.
Request approved. Cleared for landing on docking bay 45.
Okay. Docking pad 45. Right, try and keep your speed in that little blue. So you see my speed indicator there on the right-hand side of the big scanner circle, scanner disc in the middle. Try and keep your throttle in the blue there. It's usually an acceptable speed for him. There's another ship coming in right behind me.
Reports of heavy traffic around the facility.
Jesus! Yeah, he didn't care about anything, did he? Dude! Not cool, man. That is not cool. There he goes. Oi, landing pad 6. Keep your eyes open. Drop your landing gear. Head for your assigned landing pad.
Landing gear deployed.
Meters from touchdown.
Auto dock is very common. I don't use it because this is my favourite part of the game.
Blocking landing pads is in breach of flight regulations.
I wasn't blocking a landing pad. Shut up. If you haven't got a docking computer, all you have to do is hover over that until the little lollipop thing that extends below your ship in the screen in the centre there is right in the centre, and then you'll get a beep and the thing will go blue. And then you just use your downward thrusters, whatever they're mapped to on your controller, to descend. You'll see your distance. It's really hard to see, even for me, and I've got the full screen. But you can see, if you can see, it says I'm 7.6 or 7. It's fluctuating now, 7.7 meters from the surface. So that's how you can see. Or if you use your POV and you've got the kind of cockpit that you can see, you can actually also look through the floor and see yourself approaching the pad there. There you go. And we're down. Clunk.
Landing complete. Clear to disembark.
And tri-players, that's what I'd always use. Yeah. Auto. A lot of people use auto dock. I don't, because it's one of my favorite. Firstly because I'm a 1984 elite player. So there was nothing like that. But of course, in 1984, all you had to do was match your rotation with the mail slot and fly through it. Once you did that, that's it. You were in the station. Here they have landing and stuff like that, and I love this. This is one of my favorite parts of the game. I love the hands-on thing of docking. So I hate auto docking computers, but you know, that's just me. There's no shame at all in using one. I could easily use one. The only reason I don't, it's not because you're not supposed to, it's just because I personally really like doing this by hand. Show off. No, and the thing is, it's not exactly, once you've done it a few times, it's not a complicated maneuver at all. It's just, I really like the hands-on. For me, it's about flying a spacecraft around in space. If I can't do that bit, it takes away like half the fun of the game for me. So it's just personal preference. There's lots and lots of players use it. Right, now let me see what ships are here. I hope all my ships are here. They are. Right. I'll have a look in a second to see how far we've got to go to these crash sites, because the quickest way to get there is going to be in this ship, because it has the farthest jump range, because that's what I engineered this ship to do, was to jump long distances. But oops, I might want my ship, my combat ship, Vagrant, there to take with me, because that's very handy if I run into any trouble. So if I find anything worthwhile at the crash sites that we're going to go to now, and pick it up, pirates might decide they want to take that off me, at which point, when they pull me out of Super Cruise, they will not just run away, they'll attack. They only run away now because I haven't got anything worthwhile, so it's not worth their time to attack me. Unless I'm wanted, which at the moment I'm not. This ship is, but not around here. I'm a long way from where that ship's actually got a bounty on it. And it's only 1,000 credits, so it wouldn't be worth their time. That was this ship was my mining ship, but I changed to the ship that I'm in now as my mining ship just because it's a little bit more maneuverable, and there's quite a lot more cargo space in the ship I'm in now, which is a Crate Mark II. I might sell the Asp. I haven't really decided yet. It's also a good exploration ship, the Asp, because it's got a ton of hard points and a fairly decent basic range. I hope to be able to do it, but mostly I did because when I first started, I was incapable of docking and always got stuck in the engine. Yeah, but there's like everybody, everybody when they start this game is exactly the same. You know, we're all like that when we start. Yeah, see, Baron says, been there. We're all like that. There's absolutely no shame at all in not being able to dock when you first start. Nobody can do it when they first start. And if you're doing it with a mouse and keyboard or a controller, it's always more difficult. It's very easy for me to sit here and say, I like doing the docking. Firstly, because I've been doing it for a long time. Secondly, because I use a flight controller. And with a flight controller, it's way easier than any other method. So yeah, if you prefer a docking computer, absolutely. Just you do that. And then at a later time, you feel like you want to try doing it manually and you feel you're comfortable enough with the controls to start doing it manually, just switch it off or remove it. But yes, we've all been there. I think... Right, let me take this ship. Let me take this, because... What? Okay, that's weird. Oh, for God's sake. Right, okay. I was wondering why that was grayed out, or, you know, why it was red, why it was saying I can't use this ship. The reason is because for some reason it will not automatically transfer cargo. Or, well, it will, but only if that ship's got enough cargo space. And at the moment, I'm carrying probably just collector limpets. Because if I was carrying any cargo that was worth anything, that pirate would have shot at me. But I'm not. So I'm guessing I'm just carrying collector limpets. Yeah, there you go. I'm carrying 40 collector limpets. Well, 40 limpets. Limpets, by the way, this is important to know if you're doing mining and stuff like that, because a lot of people get confused by this. Victoria! Hello! Good of you to make it. Yeah, very important to know this for people who are going out mining and collecting cargo. Limpets. So basically, there is a way to collect cargo that's floating around in space without collector limpets. You just drop your cargo scoop, and a little targeting reticle appears on the left of your central scanner, usually where the compass is that I was showing you before. So a new targeting reticle appears there, like a smaller one, and that shows you like a targeting corridor for whatever it is you're aiming at to pick up, like a cargo canister, and you just have to fly towards it and get your cargo scoop to collect it. Which is easy enough. If you keep it at really low speeds, it's not terribly difficult, doesn't take that long to master at all. But it's tedious, because when something explodes, for example, I mean, I don't know if this is how you get your cargo. Not everybody waits for stuff to explode or makes stuff explode, but let's say, for the sake of argument, you've made something explode and it's carrying materials, and usually just materials, but or cargo. Noob question, who's Norm? Norm? Norm from Cheers, from the 80s TV show Cheers, which I'm sure that you remember, Victoria. I know you must. He's there, actually, next to Cliff Claven on mic. You probably can't see him, look. You see him? Yeah, there he is. So Norm is a little shout people use to welcome in a regular to my chat. So when regulars come in, people are in here all the time. The way the chat let me know if I'm concentrating on the game is they type in that command, Norm. Yeah, where everybody knows your name. Exactly. Correct. So they type in that chat command, and I get that cheers yell, Norm! And it comes through my headset. But the chatbot is not online because I'm playing Elite Dangerous, so I have to shut everything down. To make this run on stream, I have to shut everything down that the computer doesn't absolutely need to use. So the chatbot's not online today. But that's their way of letting me know that a regular has just come in. So I just hear Norm. And by the way, to all my regulars that are currently in the chat, I did start at the moment. I actually used one of the many shouts from Cheers. I just clipped it out and put it in there. Norman, correct. Norman, good old Diane. But I've been meaning to collect for quite a long time the shouts, Norm shouts from my regulars, right? So you can send them to me. If you've got a decent microphone or even a half-decent microphone, you just want to use your phone or something, and just go, Norm, you know, into the thing. Send it to me, the sound file, at nights. No, don't send it to Twitter. Sorry, send it to me at my email address, which is sk@nightsarcade.com. Right? Some of you have sent me them. The reason I've never made it is because not enough people have sent a recording. So it's like about 4 people, which isn't great. But once I have enough people, I'll put it together. And when you hear Norm in the chat, then it'll be all of you guys. So if you want to do that, record your Norm shout and send it to me at sk@nightsarcade.com. Anyway, back to this. Limpets. One of the things that confuses people about limpets is that limpets are a thing that are reprogrammed for every task you ask them to do, right? So, there are not, even though I always refer to them this way, there aren't collector limpets and prospector limpets and stuff like that. When you're out of limpets, you're out of limpets. But if I go back here, and I go to, sorry, don't know why I went out of there. If I go to outfitting now, listen back to my own voice. Well, you won't be able to really pick it out in the myriad of people that are in there, but no shame. If you don't want to send me one, don't do it, buddy. You are always welcome in here. I don't care who sends me one and who doesn't. I'm just saying, if you want to, go ahead. Fraser is making a comeback. So, you go to your optional internal modules. Now here, you'll see, inside the ship, I have a Collector Limpet controller. And on this ship, there's a Prospector Limpet controller also, right? So that's what you need. Collector Limpet controller and a Prospector Limpet controller. Now, all that means is that they are modules aboard my ship. So when you buy limpets, you're just buying limpets. What makes it a Prospector Limpet or a Collector Limpet is the controller that you have installed. So when you fire a limpet in whatever mode it's in, so if you're in the Prospector Limpet mode in your fire groups and you fire it, it will say programming limpet drone, right? And it will, if you're using the Prospector Limpet button on your fire thing, you're activating the Prospector Limpet controller, so what it will send out is a Prospector Limpet. If you're in the Collector Limpet mode on your fire groups, it will send out a Collector Limpet. So you can pick up cargo by just flying over it and opening your cargo scoop and aiming correctly. You have to slow way down, but it doesn't take long to get the hang of it, and you just scoop it in. But it's not difficult, it's just tedious, because when something explodes and sends out all its materials and cargo, it's basically quite spread out, and it's travelling away from you the whole time. So the longer it takes you to do it, the further away these things get. Right? And when it comes to materials and stuff like that, they only exist in space for so long. They won't stay there forever. They just degrade and then disappear eventually. So you have to fly to one, line it up with your cargo scoop, scoop it up, turn around, find another one in your scanner, get close enough to it to lock it, do the same thing again and again and again. And it can get tedious, right? So if you're carrying collector limpets, all you need to do, just the shout Norm. Yeah, in exactly the same way that it usually happens in my chat. You know, I mean, you've heard it enough times, Baron, you know it is. Well, just use one of the ones off. Just look at Cheers and just mimic what they're doing, because that's where I got it from. So just do that. But yeah. So yeah, what makes all limpets, a limpet is a limpet is a limpet. What makes it a collector limpet or a prospector limpet or all of those things is what controller you use to fire it. That's the only difference. Back. Thank you. Jan Hanna. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. So, what we now need to do is go to advanced maintenance. If you're going out and you're using limpets, by the way, make sure you've always got some in your hold. The flip side of that is doing what I just did, was not being able to swap between one ship and another because I forgot I still got some. But if you go into advanced maintenance to get your limpets, you go into advanced maintenance and you go to restock, and in there, look, it says limpet control, and you just go up until you've got the number that you want, right? You can hold as many as your cargo has space for, but bear in mind, I mean, you fire one limpet out and it comes back with cargo, it's the same limpet, right? Let's say you fill your cargo hold up with collector limpets. So let's say I've got 80 collector limpets. That's my cargo hold full, right? So if I send one limpet out to collect cargo, I now have 79 limpets and one out there in space. He goes out, he collects the cargo canister or the material or whatever it is you're sending him out to get, or the black box or whatever it is, comes back, drops it into your cargo container and flies off to find another one. Now, your cargo hold is full again, because him leaving the cargo hold meant you've got one empty cargo space, but he's now brought back a canister, so you're now full. He goes out to fetch another one and can't bring it back now because you've got no more room in your cargo hold. None at all. The only way you can get around that is to fire off another limpet. And you'd have to fire one off for every single piece of cargo, which is kind of tedious. So don't fill your cargo hold up. You shouldn't need that many, particularly if you're only using collector limpets, because, you know, they have a certain lifespan on them and a certain range. So, but we're swapping ships, so I need to empty my cargo hold because the ship that I'm moving to doesn't have a very big cargo hold. So when you sell them, you see there, I got a refund for all those limpets. Well, not a lot of money, but, you know. So now we go back to the shipyard. And back to my stored ships. And we are going to use this. So we're going to use the Vagrant here just in case we get into any trouble. Because that's the only ship that can really handle combat that I've got at the moment. I could equip the others to handle combat, but they all have very specific roles. So, you know, I only have one that I use for combat. When you get a bigger ship, like an Anaconda, which is huge, or an Imperial Cutter, or something like that, when you've been playing this game for a long time, those ships you can use for multi-roles quite efficiently because they have so many hard points and so much space. You can fill it up with all the mining equipment you'll ever need and still have 2 hard points available to just blast people out of the sky, and it won't matter. But so we'll swap over to this ship. Clunkety clunk. Sorry, just making sure that's sent that. Come on. No idea. I'll just trust that it has. So, right now, we're going to find our way out to... I'm going to show you how we go and land on a planet, and I'm going to find... To make it a bit more interesting, we're going to go out to a crashed ship, or maybe the research centre. I think the research centre is closer. So, go into the galaxy map. Move my flight control keyboard. Go to plot course here. And let's say... Let's go out to the research centre. So that's LP 38995. 38995. That system is 46.82 light years from here, so that's no distance at all, really. So let's plot a route there. Pull that back. Right, how many jumps is that? That is, in this ship, 3 jumps. So when I was talking to you there about the ships, and we had the Diamondback Explorer, which I said had a long jump range, and I used that for getting around, that would have made it there in It would almost have made it there in one jump, actually, but two. So there we go. Let me just cancel all that off. Right, so we're going to go there, and we're going to go down to, I think it's LP 389.95, body 7, somewhere, to find this medical research centre that's there. A deserted research centre. So we're going to go there. Now, I don't know if William is actually... William, are you still in the chat? Or anybody else that wants to know this stuff. So just curious to see if William's still around. Are you still there, buddy? I'll tell you what, I need to drop out for just a second. So if you're still there, William, speak up in the chat and I'll show you the mapping thing when I come back. But I'll be back in 1 sec. Oh, there he is. There we go. When I was first looking at some various guides to this game, I got a lot of things on trading through different systems with resources that had different values to make a profit. Is that common? It is very common. I'll show you where you do that. You go into Starport Services. You just go to the commodities market here. Right. So you can buy at this. These are all the commodities you can buy at this station. Okay. At the top there, it will show you in the far right column. It will say this will be your profit per unit if you sell this item at the galactic average price. Right. The reason I tend to dissuade people from doing this really early on is because early on, all you're going to have is a Sidewinder, right? Now, a Sidewinder, to my knowledge, at its basic capacity, at its most basic level, a Sidewinder has, I think, 4. So you could carry 4 canisters of, let's say, for example, 4 canisters of, I don't know, top one, 4 canisters of explosives, right? So if sold at the galactic average, you will make 250 credits of profit per unit. Now, you can look online for third-party tools or use your experience of places you've been before, or you can use this very limited tool over on the right here, which will show you nearby systems and the value of those items in nearby systems. And that, so you can use any of those tools or online third-party tools if you want to take that cargo much further to make money. But the problem is, let's say, for the sake of explosives, right? Let's say you sold it at the galactic average and you made 250 credits per unit. Well, the Sidewinder can only hold 4 units. It'll probably cost you that in fuel just to get there. So to get to a system where you can sell that at that level, it'll probably cost you more than... So In a Sidewinder, you hold 4 units, so your profit, if sold at galactic average, is 1,000 credits on that journey, right? So it's taken you, I don't know, let's say 15 minutes to do that journey and sell that stuff, right? 15 minutes. When you could have been attacked by pirates or whatever, you sell, you've made, on that trip, you've made 1,000 credits, and it probably cost you more money than that to refuel your ship. When you've got a very small cargo hold, it's really not worth it. If you're asking me, that's just my opinion. I don't advise people to do this early on because it's hard work for almost no return. As Baron says, Elite has a lot of different ways to gain wealth. Early on in the game, this isn't a particularly efficient way of doing that. Later on, when you've got a much bigger ship and you're making much longer jumps and you're carrying much more expensive cargo and you're more familiar with the different kinds of governments and the different kinds of systems that you're in, so whether the economy is a mining economy. So one of the greatest ways, one of the biggest profit margins you'll experience is taking minerals from a mining economy where they are mined and so are worth almost nothing, and taking those to a rich tourist economy somewhere else where they'll pay an absolute fortune for stuff like low temperature diamonds. I mean, frankly, everybody pays a lot for low temperature diamonds, but that's a whole different discussion. So once you know all those things and you've worked so long that you've got a ship that is big enough to carry a lot of cargo and really increase your profit margin, that's worth it. Until you get to that point, I personally wouldn't bother with it. However, if you're going to contact here, onto the mission board on your general services, some of these people will be asking you to transport goods at, for a certain amount of money they're willing to pay you. So, for example, let's see if I can find any of these. This economy of DCAT at the moment is currently in boom. So if you look at the Riders of the Void thing... Oh, wait a second. Sorry, before I forget, now that I realise there's a Riders of the Void contact here, I can cash in this bounty voucher. Oop. Yeah, there we go. All bounty vouchers. Right, there we go. So I can cash in these bounty vouchers for 175,000 credit. There we go. I just had those from something I did last week. Sorry, I just didn't want to forget. Now that because you're always like, well, you get a bounty voucher for somewhere, and you go, who is that that's offering that? And the thing is, unless you go to a system that's controlled by those people or where they have a faction established, you can't collect that bounty voucher. But anyway, that's beside the point. So if you go to the mission board, and you're talking about cargo, right? So rather than trading that way, you can also, if you can pick up one of these missions. So this economy is currently in boom, and quite often they'll give you boom time deliveries, right? That's a bad example because they want you to take, see what I'm talking about there? They want you to take 3,680 units of survival equipment, right? Now they're willing to pay you 6,711,179 credits to do this, plus 12 crop harvesters, which you can then sell, plus an awful lot of influence points with that faction. But you've got to take it 18 light years from here. That in itself is no problem. In most ships, that'll just be one jump. Most. Not in a Sidewinder, unfortunately, but in most ships, that'll just be one jump. But it's 3,680 units. 6 million sounds like a lot, but that's 3,680 units. In a Sidewinder, that would probably take you about a year and a half of just constantly going back and doing that, right? So you don't want to do that. Even in an Anaconda, that would take you a few trips. An Anaconda's huge. So let's go to... Wait. Right. So these are good. This is what does the boom means? It means they're experiencing an economic boom. So when you get to a place that's experiencing an economic boom or a sharp increase in economic growth, they will quite often offer you boom time deliveries. So they're trying to capitalize on this economic growth by getting you to deliver stuff. And quite often, boom time deliveries, not always, but quite often, boom time deliveries will be in system. So sometimes you won't even have to go to another system. You just have to go to another station within the system that you're already in. So they're quite good. For some early money, try to find systems that are in boom and do a couple of these smaller boom time deliveries. But as I said, most of them, even the low-end ones, will want you to transport 10, 15, 20 units of cargo. Even the very, very low-end ones. And a Sidewinder just can't carry that much cargo. Heading off, I'm afraid. Night all. Okay, Gigs, thank you very much for stopping by, my friend. Always good to see you. Thanks for dropping by, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, my friend. So, what you want to do instead, ideally, when you've got a tiny little ship like a Sidewinder, which is where you start off, you want to do stuff like courier missions, right? So, internal report deliveries here, right? Like that's a courier mission. But don't just, because that takes up no cargo space at all, see if you can find any other courier missions that are going to that location. So that are going to HIP 36165, right? 17.67 light years away. That's one jump in most ships will make that in one jump. But don't just do that one. Try and find some others on here that are going to the same place. And stack them like that. And a tip that somebody else gave when I did this before, which is a very useful tip, very good idea, good point, is if you have cargo space, go onto one of the third-party tools that you can find for trading in Elite Dangerous, right? And find a system, find out something that they're willing to pay more in that system for than they sell it for here. Because you go in there anyway, so why not, while you're doing it, pick up some cargo that you can find by virtue of some third-party tool or just your own experience if you've been there before. Find some commodity that's going to be worth more there than it is here, and while you're doing these courier jobs, take that cargo with you. Feel it, just maximize your profit for every trip. Now, regarding the data that I was telling about before, once you've collected it all, how many times did I scan there? 6 times? 5 systems? 6 systems. 6 systems or 5 systems, I can't remember. But you go to Universal Cartographics. And there you go. Now, bear in mind, I cannot sell the ones that are in red because those systems are too close to the system I'm in now, so they're not interested in that data. But all I did was honk the Discovery scanner in every system I passed through, and nothing else. I did absolutely nothing but hold down that trigger for 6 seconds every time I jumped. On the way here, I was already coming here. It's just that every time I went to a system along the way, I just held that down, then went to the next one. That's all I did, and I made 260,000 credits. Now, you might say, well, in one of those systems, you did a full spectrum analysis, right? Check the distance of the station you're taking up. Right, I'll come to that in a second. That's a very good point, Jan. I will bring that up in just a second. Thank you. So, all I did was honk the Discovery scanner along the jumps that I was making, right? Now, you might say, but on one of those, you did a full spectrum system scan, a full spectral analysis, and you scanned one of the planet's surfaces. But if you recall, that was the system that we're in now. So that does not factor into the amount of money that I've got because they won't buy that information. See, DCAT. The system that I got with the full spectrum analysis, and the planetary surface scan, this is what I'm talking about when I say it's worth more money. If you do that, that's when you rack up serious cash. That's DCAT, so that's the system that we're in now. And by doing those things, I earned 310,000 credits. But in order to sell that data, because they're obviously not interested in that data in the system that it comes from, why do they? All they've got to do is look out the window. Yeah, I know that's a water world. I can see that from here. I just look out my bedroom window and there it is. They don't care about that data. So all I've got to do is head away 20 light years. So you've got to get 20 light years from where you receive that data, from where you collected the data, in order to sell it. Right? Is 200,000 a common amount of credits for a well, that's for a series of Discovery scans, bear in mind, and that's just basic Discovery scanning, right? So like I said, all I did to make that money was hold down the trigger for 6 or 7 seconds, right, while I was passing through. That's it. That's all I did. I did nothing else. I didn't have to go from one system to another and back to collect the money. I didn't have to shoot anybody down. I didn't have to fill up my cargo space, thus limiting my jump range. I didn't have to fight off pirates that are trying to get my cargo stuff. I didn't have to land on a planet and data link scan anybody. I didn't have to do anything except hold that trigger down on a journey I was already making. And I made 260,000 credits on that journey just for doing that. Easy. But if you go into a full spectral analysis and on top of you get more money for scanning everything within the system in more detail, if you then go and do a planetary surface scan like I showed you, that is worth even more still, especially on Earth-like worlds or terraformable water worlds or high metal content worlds. And then you get into the millions with the data that they're asking. So one system that's got, let's say, one system that's got an Earth-like world and a couple of high metal content worlds, and if you do the surface scans of all of those 3 worlds, and the rest of the system, you just do a discovery scan, you probably make, from that one system alone, you probably make, I don't know, 1.3 to 2.5 kind of million, depending on what you find. Millions. So, yeah. So then you just... Now, another tip is I usually, when it's a little amount like that, I usually sell the entire page at once. But you can actually increase your rep, and I think, and I'm not sure, you can increase your ranking marginally faster by selling them all individually. So there you go, we'll sell that. SK has his own Discord server. Should you be interested? Oh yeah, sure. There you go. Let me put up the Discord link, see if it works. Doesn't always. Boom. Come on. Did that work? It might have. I don't know. We'll see in a second. There it is. That's the link to the Knights Arcade Discord, in case you're interested. If not, doesn't matter. So yeah, so that's Universal Cartographics. It's an easy way to make money while you're doing other stuff anyway. Always scan the system when you enter it. Don't bother to remember whether you've been to that system before, because it's 6 or 7 seconds of holding down the button. To align with your target to go to the next system takes longer than that, so you might as well just hold down the key while you're doing it. Okay? Now, Jan was saying something. Check the distance of the station you're taking goods to. This is important. Very good point, Jan. Thank you very much. This is very important. So, let's say... I'll tell you what. Let's take the most famous one in Elite Dangerous off the top of my head. Right? The most famous station for this, when you go to... If we look at the system map of this station, I've told you about this before, and we go to... So this is where we are now. Garai Terminal, right? The arrival point to the station is 62.51 light seconds, right? So that's the distance between the star, the navigation beacon of the star, and the station that we're at. 62.51 light seconds. Okay? That's no distance at all. That's no problem. And even if you get up to the sort of far end, let's see, and they aren't that far away in this system, but that one, the arrival point to this planet, to DCAT 9A, from the star, so that means from the point where you drop into the system to that place, is 4,035.42 light seconds. So that's a bit more of a haul, but it's still not very far, right? The reason that Jan says always check the distance to the station you're going to, not just in light years, but in the distance that the station is from the star, is because you might see something that says, and players of Elite Dangerous will know this very well, you might say something that says, take this to Hutton Orbital Station, and we'll pay you 6 million credits, right? And you might go, that is amazing. Just for taking that data to Hutton Orbital Station? Excellent, I'm on it. That's 6 million credits in no time at all. That's right around the corner from me. Right, the problem there is that if you haven't checked the distance, you will find the Hutton Orbital Station, to give you the most famous example in the game, Hutton Orbital Station is over 6 million light seconds from the parent star, or, put another way, 0.22 light years. So it's almost a quarter of a light year from the star that you arrive at, and travelling that distance in Super Cruise is going to take you hours. That is a long way to travel in system, right? That is why it's always good to bear that in mind. Anything over... Generally, I don't bother with anything that's sort of over... I mean, I don't have a hard figure, but generally I kind of try to stay below 20,000 light seconds from the parent star. Unless it pays a lot of money or it's something that I really want to do or really want to see, I don't generally travel beyond that point. The first time I went to Hutton Orbital Station was very early in the game, very early in the beta, I think. It was either in the beta or the gamma stage of development. And nobody really knew that much about the game yet, so we were all a bit clueless. But you will see, occasionally, you'll see people telling you that you get a free Anaconda, which is a very, very large ship. It's one of the largest ships in the game. And it's a very versatile ship, lots of hard points, tons of cargo space, hard as nails, that ship. Very, very large. And you'll see people going, you get a free Anaconda if you go out to Hutton Orbital. No, you don't. It's a trick that Elite Dangerous players have been playing on people for a long time. Don't pay any attention. But if you really want to make the trip just to say you've made the trip, go for it. But always pay attention to how far the station that you're taking something to is from the star where you'll drop in. Because you might have a really long journey ahead of you if you don't. Good point, Jan. Thank you very much for reminding me to bring that up. Did I actually locate that and lock in on it? I can't remember. Yes, I did. But there you go. So there's only 3 jumps to get to this place. Not very far. And that's in this ship, which doesn't have a particularly great jump range. There we go. The problem with Lacon ships as combat ships is Lacon ships have really, really weak canopies. The canopies are like they're made out of tissue paper, and your canopy might blow out when you're in combat, which means you lose your heads-up display, or a lot of it. And you then are on oxygen, so you've only got... Then it starts a counter, so you've got this long left of light support, which means you've got to reach atmosphere by that point. So, but, you know, always trying to make some money on any journey that you're taking. I'm not taking anything with me now, because I can't, you know, I'm just showing you. I'm taking you out to a planet to show you. Because the last time I did a video on Elite Dangerous, the last time we did a stream, we never went down to a planet. Instead, people elected...
Ship released. You're clear to leave.
Thank you. Bloody hell. Hauler in front of me there, I think. Hey, buddy. Whee. Oh, it's an adder. Oh, right, yeah. See, my destination is behind the planet, so I'm going to have to go into Super Cruise first before going into hyperspace. That can be a bit of a problem. So you come out of a station, and you should be able to just jump to hyperspace once you've escaped the mass lock. Once the little mass lock light there on the bottom right-hand side, once the blue light has gone out and it's clear orange.
All clear. Flight control out.
Right. When they say you're beyond the all-clear zone, that means you're outside the no-fire zone, which means if you deploy your weapons hardpoints, you don't need to fire them. Inside the fire zone of a station, even deploying your weapons, getting them out of the little things there. Look, there we go. Watch. Oh, no. Shit. Oh, you can't see them. On this ship, you can't actually see, but... So, but yeah, sometimes when you come outside a station, once you escape mass lock, you should be able to go straight into hyperspace, but on this occasion... my target is obscured by the planet, so I'm going to have to go into Super Cruise to go around the planet first. Yeah, life support should not be underrated. If I remember, when I finished here, I will put one of my very old videos, my very old Elite Dangerous tutorial. I used to make Elite Dangerous tutorials in the very early days of the game, over on my other channel. And if I remember later, there's one of them where I just clipped the first time in the game I ever lost my canopy. I think I was playing in beta or gamma. I can't remember, but... Oh, it might have been in the very, very early stages of main release, actually. I think, maybe. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But the first time I ever lost my canopy, I thought it was so cool that I actually clipped the whole thing. And there is a very short video where I show you me losing my canopy. I'll put that in the Discord, if I remember, when I finish here tonight. So you go. Now I can align with my target and go into hyperspace.
Frameshift drive charging.
That planet looks blue because I've used the surface scanner on it, so that's what that's showing that I've scanned it. Don't normally look like that, but once you're in Super Cruise, it'll show that once you get close enough.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
There's my lovely wife. Retiring for the evening. Yes, you should have done before now, really, considering the pain in the ass that the boy's been lately. There we go. That's weird. That's very weird. Why did that happen? Oh, I know why that happened. Stupid boy. So I accidentally selected that target. Messing about with my stupid joystick. And I accidentally selected the planet. Oh, for some reason I've lost my route. Maybe I didn't actually lock it in. Yeah, I did. It's there. What's the problem, man? Ugh. Really got to do this by hand, have I? Since I just got to check. Ki lisu. No, it's already locked in now. Okay, that's weird. Pay no attention. Okay, it's over there. Yeah, don't forget to honk your discovery scanner. Every time. Don't bother remembering if you've been here before. Just pop it.
Frameshift drive charging.
Charge your frameshift drive. Yeah, last time I was going to show you a planetary landing the last time, but people in the chat elected instead to see me blow apart an asteroid with a seismic charge.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
Every time you go into hyperspace, wind your throttle down to 0. Because if you drop a pencil on the floor or something, or you spill your drink and you suddenly go, oh dear, you'll walk away from your computer or just bend over for a second to pick something up off the floor, your throttle's wound up, and when you come out of hyperspace, you're barreling full speed towards the star. You don't want that. There you go. I feel there's a duet coming up soon. We actually recently did record something for a friend of mine, another content creator friend of mine, who sometimes appears in the chat, our good friend Scrolls, who will appear here as actually Eric. He makes Sea of Thieves parody videos. Night, honey. And he does occasionally ask me and other people to sort of help him with them, like just contributing a voice or helping him to get a shot in the game or something. And this most recent one, well, first of all, he asked me to help get a shot in the game by shooting one of the people that's in the video. But he used my pirate's name in it and the name of my ship in Sea of Thieves, which is the Sitting Duck. So he used those in the video, but he also asked, it's a parody song, so he also asked us to sing some lines of the chorus. You wouldn't be able to pick us out because he's got lots of different people to do it, but yeah. So, but we do appear in that. Okay, last jump. LP 389.95. We're looking for LP 38995, Planet 7. Let me get to the other side.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So yes, as Baron says, when you're upgrading things, particularly if you're flying a Lakon ship into combat with a massive canopy like this, Lakon is one of the companies that make ships in this game. And Lakon, their ships have canopies like tissue paper, so they break really, really easily. And if you ignore your life support, seems like something you don't really want to bother with, because most of the time it won't make any difference to you. But if your canopy gets blown out, the higher grade of life support system you have aboard your ship, the more oxygen you'll have, so the more time you will have to reach a station with atmosphere. What am I doing now? Oh, we're going to Planet 7, right, okay. Now, you can do this several ways. You can go into your navigation panel here and see if you can find Planet 7, which didn't pop up with the navigation discovery scanner thing, because all it's done is scan and tell me how many planetary bodies and signal sources there are within this system. If you scan the nav beacon, it'll give you a little bit more information. If you do a full system scan, it'll give you more information. But you can look at the system map. This is another way to do it, and you just go out to Planet 7. So this is the planet we're looking for, I think, LP 38995-7. So this is LP 38995. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 1,425 light seconds from our current location. So that's where we're going. Around the sun, scooping some fuel as we go. Oh crap, yeah. We need quite a bit of fuel this time. We've used quite a bit of fuel for that jump, so let's actually do a bit of scooping. I'm a bit too close there, but hug the star. This is a bit sloppy. You get better at this and gauge the speeds. Look, cockpit's starting to smoke. 77%.
Warning, temperature critical.
So, as I said before, don't panic too much when they say temperature critical, then you get the alarm going off. It's not the end of the world. As I said,
Disengaged.
I've had my temperature in my cockpit climb up to 133% before now, and I got a bit of damage to the ship, but nothing major. That's when I got trapped in the... I was trying to boost my frameshift drive and I got trapped in the cone of a neutron star. I escaped, but there was a bit of damage due to overheating. Now, if you're heading to a planet rather than a station, you will not get... you won't get the usual option to drop out of Supercruise that appears on your thing, where it says press J to disengage, or whatever it is that you've got it mapped to. You won't get that if you're heading to a planet. So you have to kind of gauge it for yourself and slow down. Picked you out. You picked me out of that song? Really? I'm very surprised with everything. I can't pick me out in that song, so I'm surprised you could. Especially since, to my knowledge, you've never heard me sing before. You didn't hear the seagulls. Right, there we go. Now we're close enough that it's scanning this unexplored planet. But what we're going to have to do is a planetary surface scan once we get there, because I don't think... Right, so you see there on the left-hand side where it says distance and speed now. I'm now running at, I think, 25%. So I've slowed right down so I can tell you this. Where it says distance and speed, you'll usually get, on the distance one as well, there'll usually be a little blue area on that orange bar. And in case you miss where it tells you to stop, you can see when you're approaching the drop out of Super Cruise point, the disengage point, safe drop zone will be highlighted by the blue. So you wait for that little orange needle as it moves to the left to get into the blue section and then drop out. But when you're coming up to a planet, it's a little bit different. So if you're going to land on that planet, it's very different, as you will see in a moment. Not funny? That was funny? What are you talking about? Oh, I thought it was funny. So, like I said, we didn't do a planetary landing last time because the chat elected instead to watch me destroy an asteroid with a seismic charge, which is very cool, but you can only do it on certain asteroids, and it took me a long time to find one, so a lot of the people I'd asked to see that had actually left by the time I did it. So what I'm going to do as we approach this planet is I'm going to turn Super Cruise to 0. I'm going to throttle down to 0 in Super Cruise, and then I'm going to scan the planet to see if I can find out where this medical research center is. Although, since it's an abandoned research center, I don't know if it actually pops up or not, but we'll see. That's close enough. That's close enough, Jim. Right. So, surface scanner. I have a horrible feeling I have once again come out in a ship that does not have... I've done it again, haven't I? I've come out in a ship that has no surface scanner. Oh, it does. Nope, we do. We just put it on a different trigger point. It's a bit of a pain, but never mind. Six probe efficiency target. First discovered by laser bolt. Nice. Right, you can see by the scan radius we've got there that that's actually a relatively small planet. So we fire all our probes off. Yeah, send that one around the back. Boom!
Surface scanned by 50%.
Yeah, and the rest, come on. That's the one I sent to the other side of the planet, so that should take me... No! Alright, never mind. Got one left to hit my efficiency target. As I said, the efficiency target is just a guide for like getting more money for doing this. But we're not looking for the cash, we're actually looking for... an abandoned facility on this planet. You can find these by yourself. I just looked this one up because I just thought, well, let's take them to somewhere where they can actually see something a bit interesting. So I want to know that something is there before we get there. Human signals 1. Now, I think... Now we can fly around the planet till we see it. See, it's there. There we go. Velasquez Medical Research Center. I was going to say, you can also do this in the system map. So if you go into the system map, and you look at, you zoom in on the planet that you're in, so there you go, zoom right in on it, and you should be able to rotate the planet inside the map until you see, like if there's a station, you can't see this on here, but if there's a station, for example, on this planet, which there are on many, many planets, that'll come up. You'll see like a little, it'll be highlighted in like yellow, a little icon, and you can just click on that then to aim directly for it. But since it hasn't, what we've got to do is fly around the planet a bit until that comes into view. Now, before we go there, planetary approaches are a little bit different than station approaches because, first of all, you don't get as much help, if you like. Okay, so there's no place where it'll say, press this button now, and you're there, right? So you can't do that. The other thing is, you can't do the set it at 75% and just forget it until you arrive thing, because there's a lot more work to do on a planetary approach. Because it's a little bit more, it's not I want to say it's not an exact science, but there is an exact science to it. But in general, it's easier to just say, I guess, it's a little bit more of a vague approach that you have. A vague way of approaching. It's not as easy to describe because every planet is different. Every planet has every planet's gravity well is different. So, you know, planets of different mass will have higher gravity and so on and so forth. What I tend to do, just to be on the safe side, is I'll start off, depending on the size of the planet, you can start off at 25, but I'm going to put it at 50%. So I'm going to put my throttle at 50%. Best way to do it is to keep the target that you're aiming for on the horizon of the planet, but not out of view, because that way you can make a shallower approach. If it's right below you, you'll drop out of shot, you'll not be able to see it, and when we get close enough, you'll get an attitude corridor that appears on the screen. There it is. And you'll see our descent rate on the right-hand side. Whoops, shit. That's not good. Yeah, that was too far on the horizon, so I made a bit of a mess of that. But you can level out a little bit.
Orbital flight engaged.
So now we're in orbital flight. Now, once it goes down to the next marker at the bottom, right, can you see there? 400 kilometers. Once it drops to the next marker, you will then drop into glide mode. So then you're basically falling towards the planet. What I love about it is I really hope that you guys can pick it up when this happens. I hope you can. You might not be able to, though. But through my headset, if you the sound design, as you all must know by now, is one of the best things about this game that I love. And when in glide mode, you can hear all sorts of different sounds. So you can hear stress creaking of the hull of your ship and everything as it kind of, because there's nothing else. There's no engines or anything else running when you're in glide mode. So I approach that at 50%, but keep your target more or less on the horizon, because if it's right underneath you in the middle of the planet, you make a really steep approach, and that's when it all goes wrong. It'll drop you out of super cruise. You'll be miles and miles away from your destination. You'll receive damage to the ship, probably. So try to maintain a fairly shallow approach, but get over the top of it, because you don't want to be too far away when you drop out into glide. We should be more or less on top of this. So now I can dive. And we'll go into glide now. In 3, 2, 1. Here it comes. Whoop. Okay, now we're in glide. That was probably a little bit too close, actually. See, you don't have much control in glide. There is a certain amount of control, but not a lot. And depending on your approach corridor, your approach angle to your target, glide will sometimes last a lot longer than that. That was quite short, because I dropped into glide really quite close to my target, but depending on your approach angle, that will change. Now, somewhere around here, there is a research facility. There it is. Now we're on engines again. Landing on planets can be tricky, depending on... and you want to make sure you slow down in time. So depending on the gravity, the mass of the planet, how strong the gravity of a planet is, landing on planets can be very tricky. In low gravity, it's actually reasonably easy. But in high gravity, as you can imagine, these approaches get a little bit tricky. I mean, this isn't pretty because I'm just diving right for the surface, but I came in a little bit too close to the target, so there you go. Now I've got to find somewhere to land. So there, in case you're wondering why it's glowing, it's because, excuse me, when you're down on a planet, I can assure you from having experienced this is not so bad. We're actually still partially in sunlight here. But when you're on the dark side of a planet, that's dark. I mean, it's absolutely pitch black. So what you have is night vision mode to help you see things. So if I turn that off, you can still see reasonably well on this planet because we're still in partial sunlight. But on the dark side of a planet, as you often are, you can't see a goddamn thing. So you need your night vision mode. Woo! Okay. Now, what you need to do, once you put your landing gear down, clunk.
Landing gear deployed.
There you go, look. It'll tell you whether or not the terrain's unstable where you are, so you just have to find terrain that is stable. We're a bit close to the ground there, but, you know, you usually find somewhere close by to land. There you go. Whoop. Come on. Come on, I had decent alignment there somewhere. There we go. And now we can put it down. Power down. And out there is an abandoned research facility. So now we're going to get into our little scarab.
Drive assist on.
If you keep the ship HUD in the blue section, scroll up or down. Yeah, you get like a little blue section in your attitude ladder as you're approaching a planet. I generally don't tend to bother too much with that because I've learned how to approach. I mean, again, it depends on the gravity as to how fast you'll plummet, but I've learned how to approach so that I drop out quite close. So much so that that station was actually right underneath me. There. So here we go. And again, in this vehicle, you've got night vision. Okay, so same thing. You also got a turret. Right, which I can't get into because I'm too close. Currently, I'm too close to my ship. So if I go into camera mode, which is a different button when I'm in the SRV, of course. There we go. Crap. Free camera mode. No, not free camera in there. Wait. On the outside. There. Free camera mode. There we go. So there's my ship. There is my ship sitting on the planet's surface. There is my little SRV. So I'm currently too close to the ship to deploy the turret. So it's like a safety feature. You can't deploy the turret when you're this close. You see the thrusters. You've got little boosters on your ship there so you can make jumps, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay. So there we go. Right. But once we got far enough away, then you can deploy the turret. Okay. So the thing has a little turret on it, useful for recovering minerals and materials from planet surfaces. Boom, boom. Pew, pew. Lots of fun. Okay. Now, these things are fun to sort of bimble around on, but you want to watch the integrity of the hull, because you will get... Oh, lights are on. Oh, God. This blinding screen. I have all my keys here, all labelled out where my... And I can never find the lights because I don't use them very often, but what I can't find... Ironically, I can't find the light button, because right where that is, there's a blinding spot from my key light. There you go. Lights on. Turn night vision off. Right, but you've got boosters. Woo! Whoosh. But watch the integrity of your SRV very closely, because you don't want that to fall to zero while you're out bimbling about on the planet. Okay? Sorry about the frame rate drop, folks. Again, you know, as I say, my computer's not really up to the task of this. It's alright for the most part, but sometimes it gets a little bit iffy. Now, just like on your ship, you have got fire groups, right? So you've got like little fire groups with different stuff, okay? That's the weapons. And then I've got a data link scanner and a composition scanner, which I need to be in a different mode for anyway. Oh, no, I don't. Yes, there we go. So there's your different fire modes again, same as on your ships before. Woo! Oh man, sorry. The frame rate is like really, really dropping quite badly here. I apologize for that. So you're getting a really, really choppy screen. TV threatening to turn itself off. Must be bedtime. Okay, Victoria, thanks very much. Now, pottering around on planets isn't something that I've been doing since the very early days of Elite, because it wasn't something that you could do in the very early days of Elite. It's not a recent thing. It's been available for quite a long time as Horizons, but it's something that I am relatively new to because I stepped away from Elite for a long time. So I've only done this a few dozen times myself. There we go. What was that? Comms log uplink. Thank you. Right. So we found an uplink point. Well, there's a data point. See the data point opening up. There we go. Up into the turret. So now I'm scanning the data, retrieving the data from this data point. I travelled nearly 5 kilometers in the SRV. I love that. It is crazy. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the arcade. Yeah, it is a crazy little vehicle. It's insane. The stuff that you can do, you can have a lot of fun in it. I've spent so long just running around in planets on this thing. But yeah, there's also com log uplink, which means there's com logs here. There we go. There we go.
After months of research, the solution ended up being pretty simple. Once you break it down, it's a fairly straightforward organic compound. Little more than a fungus, really. We tested the vaccine on some of the older samples, and while it doesn't undo any existing damage, it does prevent the weapon from doing any further harm. Our sponsors certainly seem happy.
Right, now, obviously we want to play those in order. I can't remember the first time we spoke. Was it in one of your grounded videos? It might have been. I can't remember. It may have been when we did grounded. I've got to get back into grounded at some point, actually. But yes, forgive me if I can't remember everyone who's been here before. Like I've said before, I quite often get my own children's names mixed up, and I gave them those names, and I can't remember them half the time. There we go. Comlog uplink. I don't know if we were out of range of that there. Nope. Then I found out you play Elite and have an Outer Wilds video, and these are my absolute favourite games. Yes, indeed. Indeed I do. Outer Wilds is one of my favourite games of all time. Elite Dangerous, I would say, is my favourite game of all time. So, I mean, since you are obviously an Elite Dangerous player yourself, just to sort of fill you in, the reason I've started making the occasional one of these streams is because I've recently returned to Elite Dangerous after quite a long time away. I was playing the Elite franchise back in 1984, so I've been a fan of the Elite franchise since the first one. I was only a little kid when I first played Elite, and then, I played Elite 2 and the various shaded versions of Elite that came out, and in the interim and many, many years later. I need to go now, but I'd like to say thanks for taking the time to explain to me everything I asked, and it's great to see this community you've built up. Thank you very much, William, and it's great to have you with us. It really is. Absolutely brilliant to have you in us. It's been a pleasure to have you today. Thank you very much for dropping by, my friend, and don't worry about answering any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. Ask as many as you like. We, in this community, do not do new player shaming because I hate it. So, yeah, you're always welcome. Just ask questions about any games that I happen to play. Most of the time, I'm not going to be the right person to ask. The only reason I am with Elite Dangerous for a lot of it is because I've been playing it since it was in alpha. So, but yeah. I hope you'll come back and see us again. Yes, well said. Same on my Acorn Electron. Yeah. Yeah, the first time I ever played it was on my mate had a BBC computer and he had got Elite Dangerous, and then I got it for my pokey little Sinclair Spectrum. And I was just amazed. I was blown away by that game. So, yeah. I showed you the Easter egg drawing behind the grounded shed. You may well have done. It's all a bit of a blur after a while, frankly. But yeah, I've been playing it for quite a while. I keep saying to these guys, I don't collect gaming memorabilia like most people do. But I still have my original The Dark Wheel Bob Holstock novella from my original 1984 copy of Elite. Want to talk about new player shame? I'm still ashamed about you rescuing me last night. Dude, I mean, I get the point. Like, I was completely clueless because I'd never played that before. But, like, in my defense, and in your defense, in fact, you haven't really played it much longer than I have. You'd only put about another hour or two into it, hadn't you? And I did just happen to be driving past. Yeah, I knew about Elite Dangerous from a YouTube video. Fell in love with the sounds of the Viper 3. Then they released it on Xbox. Installed it on day one. So I did actually used to make... actually, my first ever gameplay videos. I've been making content on YouTube for like 13.5 years now. But I only started making gaming content. The first time I made gaming content was on my old channel, the Sleepless Night channel, which I still have. All those videos are still there. And it was Elite Dangerous because I was so excited. I waited nearly 30 years for this exact game. Since I was such a fan of the 1984 version and subsequent versions of Elite. So I waited nearly 30 years for this game to come out. So when I first heard of it, the first video game preview I ever wrote, which has kind of become what I'm known for now, previews and reviews. The first video game preview that I ever wrote was for Elite Dangerous. It was on my blog. And the first gaming Let's Play videos and tutorials that I ever made were in Elite Dangerous. And then I kind of stepped away from gaming videos for a while, and I only came back when I made this channel in February 2018. So it's just past its 3rd birthday. But I stepped away. So I was an early Kickstarter backer. I got the Lifetime expansion. I played all the way through the alpha, which actually there wasn't much to the alpha, but just flying around in an asteroid field. But then played the beta and the gamma, and then through the early days of main release. Then we moved to England, and I kind of lost track for a long time. 2015, yeah. Welcome, Knives. Welcome, welcome. I'm looking to get into space sims like this, but I have no idea which one to start. I like the look of Star Citizen of this, but I've also have a friend trying to talk me into Star Citizen. I'm gonna be as fair as I possibly can here and say you're asking the wrong person, because if you're asking me, as I've just described, I'm a almost lifelong elite franchise fanboy. David Braben is a really, really decent developer, and he pretty much always he delivers on what he says he's going to, but he never makes any kind of threats of delivering on something with some vague notion that, you know, I'll deliver it by this date. He always says this is going to take a long time, but here is what I plan to do. And he said that way back in like 2013 when the Kickstarter for this began. And he said, here is what we plan to do with Elite Dangerous. These are all the things we plan to release over the course of the next 10 years. But there'll be other things that we haven't talked about. And so far, he's delivered every single one of those that he has said he's going to. Except one. The only one, once Odyssey comes later this year, which will allow us to walk around on the surfaces of planets, atmospheric landings and on-foot combat, space legs, as the Elite Dangerous community call them. Once we get there, he'll have delivered everything that he initially said he was going to, except one thing, which is to walk around inside your ship. You still won't be able to do that in Odyssey, but he does plan on being able to do that. So when Odyssey releases, we'll be able to finally walk around on the surface of planets, atmospheric planets, and we'll be able to, you'll be able to have combat, you'll be able to do various missions where you can actually talk to NPCs as well as other players, and there's a person there rather than just a mission board. And you'll be able to walk around inside stations. They have actually said the way that Odyssey is set up, you can play Elite without ever needing to own a ship. Why you would want to do that, in a space sim, I have no idea, but you can just hire people to taxi you from one place to another once Odyssey comes. Now, as Baggins says there, Star Citizen has potential, but you can't play potential. I have no doubt that Star Citizen will be absolutely amazing if and when it ever arrives. But bear in mind that Star Citizen went into early development and Kickstarter, like crowdfunding, at around about the same time as Elite Dangerous did. And we've now had a playable version of Elite Dangerous since 2014. So we've had playable versions of this game for a little over 6 years. It's like 6.5 years almost. Whereas, I think they got to about $1.5 million, or I can't remember the figure, but about $1.5 million in Kickstarter funding. Star Citizen has now had well over $200 million of crowdfunding, and it still is not here. So my confidence in Star Citizen isn't high, is all I will say. RSI, I'm sure when they finally deliver it, if they finally deliver it, it'll be an absolutely mind-blowing product, but it just isn't here. So I would say Elite Dangerous, but as with Star Citizen, and as I've said many times when we've been playing this, the learning curve is really steep, which is why I've started doing these occasional... It's why I've started doing these occasional videos. Whoops. Shouldn't really have gone over that ramp so enthusiastically on a low-gravity planet, but there you go. Woo. Oh, there's another data point. There we go. There we go. How many of those have we got now? 3? Whoops. Whoopsie. My bad. Yeah, 3, 4, and 5. So we've got 2 missing that are somewhere at this facility. Whoopsie. I love... Whee! I love how much fun you can have with this thing. If you really... Once you get the hang of really... doing some nice little handbrake turns in it. It's a lot of fun. I think it'll be interesting to see what sort of careers Odyssey will be offered to the players to keep them from their ships. Yeah, I agree entirely. Yeah, we get a bit evangelical about it. Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to diss Star Citizen because it looks gorgeous, absolutely amazing. And I am tempted by it. And when it is finally released, when we finally got something that's decent and playable that my PC is capable of playing, which this PC really isn't, then I will probably delve into it a little bit more. I'm not going to badmouth it because I'm pretty confident it's going to be amazing when it releases. I'm a little bit disappointed that after all these years it's still not here, and they've had hundreds of millions of dollars in crowdfunding and there's still nothing. I just want the jetpack. Oh, for Odyssey, yeah. I have early memories of the original Elite. I was a kid and my dad took me to see an engineer friend of his and he was always playing Elite. Well, that have been a BBC... It might have been, but it came out for several different systems. The first computer I ever played it on was a friend of mine who lived up the street. He had it on BBC. He had a BBC Micro computer and we played it on that. And I used to go to his house and play it. But my father then bought it for me later in the year as a gift. And it was I had it for my little tiny pokey stupid Spectrum. I actually owned Elite the original 1984 Elite on several platforms. So I had it. I played it on the BBC Micro, which my buddy had. I had it on Commodore 64, I think. I can't remember. But then I had it on Spectrum, 48K Spectrum. I had Elite on. I had it on much later version of the same game with the shaded rather than the wireframe on an Atari ST. So, yeah. The NES version was supposed to be the best one? Really? Whoa, that's weird. I never heard of that. And I never played it at all. There's Weevil. Good old Weevil. Weevil, one of my most earnest supporters here on this channel. The cousin of a guy that I have regularly played with in the past, and still do. Good old Weevil. You and I have still never played together yet, Weevil. The BBC had Missions and Thargoids, the Electron had neither of those. See, there's information I wouldn't have had, and I've been a fan of this game I've been a fan of this franchise since 1984, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you that. I don't think my VIC-20 at the time, I wasn't born. Good old HJ. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing what he did with just that tiny amount of memory. There was over 2,000 star systems you could visit. And yes, all right, they were just a big blob, a star, and then a station. So, you know, it was primarily a trading game with fairly regular elements of combat, where you just get wireframes, just wireframe ships attacking you. But it was for the sort of, I mean, it was really the first 3D, the first fully 3D open world game that, as far as I'm aware. Woo! Sorry. Getting carried away. I have a lot of fun doing that. Okay, so we can find these other data points. Oh, crap. You know what? Okay. "22 kilobytes. Yeah, I've sent WhatsApp messages longer than I know. Right? It's absolute. This is what I love about David Braben. This is why I've always loved him, because he really is a first-class engineer and like amateur astronomer, and he's one hell of a clever dude, and he's just one of the nicest guys in the world as well. So, I mean, as a developer, I prefer Frontier to RSI, obviously, but... I don't know where the hell this other data point is. I've already got that one. Only one way to find out. Boom. Nope, apparently not. So we got what now? One missing. 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Okay. Okay. Nope. 12. Let's go out ways and then whoopsie. Trying to turn in midair like a tool. That's the comm tower raising to say, "Hey, look at me!" But we've already done that. We don't need you. There we go. So that's all of them, right? There you go. So we can now play through these logs and see what the hell was going on here. Let's go. God, let me get away from that goddamn comm tower because it's driving me bananas. Shut up! So, oh, by the way, so one of the things that you quite often have to find in Elite Dangerous is, particularly if you want anything engineered or you're synthesizing or trading for certain commodities and materials, is that you'll need certain minerals and materials that you can find. Some of them it's just data, some of them it's materials that you can find on planet surfaces, some of them you'll find when you blow up a ship or something, or find a ship that's been destroyed, you can find in amongst the wreckage. But one of the things that you'll have to do is quite often prospect on the surface of a planet for minerals. Now, this scanner here will guide you in the rough direction of those minerals, right? So it's like a geophys readout, really. Okay. The problem is, of course, it will pick up any sort of high density or high concentrations of minerals, which also includes your ship. Which the first time I did this, discovered to my cost after getting way, way away from where I was, trying to find sulfur. I think it was I was trying to find one of the first things you'll need for one of the first engineers that you unlock. And I actually came all the way back to thinking I had found some great concentration of minerals. I came all the way back to my ship only to find out that the metal it was picking up was my ship. So I was just heading back. You can expand your map. Yeah, I know. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah. I know that, buddy. I just don't use that very often, to be honest. But let's now... Let's... Maybe... Yes, look at that. Nice. Right, now let's have a listen to these logs. In the right order this time, instead of listening to the last one first.
I don't know who they were exactly. Some corporate bigwigs. But they definitely convinced the board. I can't say I'm surprised. They offered a lot of money for access to our labs, apparently. The board probably didn't even ask what they wanted them for. At least I got the bosses to promise the lab wouldn't be used to make biological weapons. This is a medical facility, after all. I will not be bullied into participating in this so-called war just because some corporation gave us their money.
Okay. 2.
It turns out they want us to make some kind of vaccine, an antidote for an unnamed biological weapon. They've given us samples and data, but whenever we press for more information, our requests are met with silence. We're working in the dark, with our hands tied behind our backs. In practical terms, we've got everything we need, but I have no idea where half of it comes from. They've given us material the weapon's been tested on, both organic and inorganic. Human and non-human. I'm starting to wonder if the weapon's even designed to target humans.
No. Xeno weapons. Shocker. Revelation.
We've finally been given access to a sample of the weapon, and it's opened up all kinds of avenues. I still worry about the ease with which our benefactors acquired the samples, but I'm probably just being paranoid. They obviously have deep pockets. Having access to unlimited funds must open all kinds of doors.
Yes, it must. 4, I mean, I know we've heard this one, but I can't remember what it said already, so...
After months of research, the solution ended up being pretty simple. Once you break it down, it's a fairly straightforward organic compound. Little more than a fungus, really. We tested the vaccine on some of the older samples, and while it doesn't undo any existing damage, it does prevent the weapon from doing any further harm. Our sponsors certainly seem happy.
Last one.
disgruntled. Seems our sponsors want to move us to a new location. Their representatives appeared a few days ago, demanded that all data be transferred to their servers and all samples be put into storage, ready to be moved. Why are they doing this? The lab more than meets our needs. They made sure of it. I tried to talk to them, but I just got stonewalled. Apparently, all information is on a need-to-know basis. And I don't need to know.
No, you don't. Anyway, there we go. That's that. So now, what we're going to do, head back to the ship. I mean, I'd bimble about and do a bit of prospecting, but we're out of time pretty much. So what I'm going to do is, for the benefit of those that have joined us a little bit late that aren't entirely sure and haven't seen much of this game, I'm just going to go back and dock at the nearest station. Don't much care where it is. And we'll leave it there. Now, now you can. I'm actually not going to show you at the moment. Oh, should I? Maybe I will. Let's see. Okay. So for those of you wondering, if you haven't done this, the first time I ever did this, I didn't actually intend to when I set out. So the first time I did this, I went down to a planet, dark side of the planet, so, you know, no sunlight at all. It was absolutely pitch black, as it always is on the dark sides of these little planets and moons. And I had to take my SRV to scan, to basically hack and retrieve data from this little base. But I had to leave the ship outside the trespass zone. So I did that. And then I went all the way in with my SRVs, about, I don't know what it was, 4.5 kilometers, usually, something like that. Went in, scanned the data, and legged it. And basically, I was that desperate to get away, once I was getting warning beacons and things going off, I was that desperate to get away, and it was the first time I'd ever done it, that I just flew in any direction, thinking that I would actually head to my ship. Wasn't really thinking too clearly. I thought the ship was roughly in that direction. It was nowhere to be found. And even when I did, as you look at the thing, as Jan says, you can increase your sensor range. So there you go. There you go. Thinking I was heading towards my ship, and I wasn't, as it turns out. So I was lost in the dark. And bear in mind, the first time I'd run by here, I'd run too far into the trespass zone, and I'd got Federal Navy ships that had come out, 2 Vipers that had come after me and chased me out of the atmosphere, and I only just escaped with my life on that occasion. But the second time, I head back out in the SRV once I had got the data, but was apparently heading out in a completely different direction to my ship. I wasn't paying attention, and no matter how far I expanded my senses, by the time I realized I was heading in the wrong direction, ship wasn't on him. So what you can do is this. There she goes. Now, so there I was in the dark and panicking after this previous Federal Navy ship sort of thing. In the dark and panicking, lost, and worried that I was going to get caught at the time. Because I've landed at these places, and, you know, sometimes you get a crashed ship and it's surrounded by sentinels, which are like little drones that will try to shoot you down if you piss them off. Especially at Guardian site and places like that, which I'll cover at a later time. And I thought to myself, I know, I can recall my ship, can't I? And I'd never done it before. Pitch black, very scared, miles from anybody, a bit worried about what was going to happen when I did this. I recalled the ship, and eventually, when it found me, dropped out of Super Cruise. And the sound design in this game, as has been mentioned many, many times, and as Baggins says there, the voice acting in Elite, sparse as it is absolutely top. It is absolutely first rate. And the sound design in this game is easily one of the best I've ever heard. And you know, if you're a regular of mine, you'll know what I do for a living, and you know that, like, sound design is kind of important for me. So I love the sound design of this game. So, and this is a fairly decent headset that I use for my voiceover work. So I recalled my ship to where I was because I couldn't find the damn thing. Waited there in the dark, panicking for a bit because I'd never done it before, and all of a sudden, boom! It just drops out of Super Cruise right on top of my head. That same ship, and descended towards me. Well, a ship of that class, and descended towards me with its thrusters. Wasn't the same one, but because as I said, I was away from Elite for a while for various reasons, having small children and not having a PC that could really even run it. Let's go into a bit of a patch here. And then, I mean, it won't put down here because it doesn't look like stable terrain, but let's see if we can. Woo! There she is. The camera suite is one of the best in any game I've ever seen as well. I'd love to know if there's many other games with the camera suites like this, because from a storyteller's perspective, it's just a gift. There she comes, look. Seems like doesn't planned on landing. There we go. There's cake on Discord if anyone is interested. Yeah, let me put my Discord link back up. I don't actually put my link up here anywhere near often enough. Right, so we're going to get back aboard the ship. We're going to head to the nearest station. Then we're going to call it a day. I will be doing more Elite Dangerous streams later. The music in this, it is Finn. Well, hi there, Finn. By the way, I didn't know you were still here. The music in this game, some of it is just absolutely brilliant. And as has been mentioned, I've never tried this in VR, this game. But as a few people have said before, in VR, it's just remarkable. Now, this is another place where you're reboarding your ship with your SRV. It has to be in a certain location or it won't go aboard the ship. So again, if you turn your attention to the bottom right-hand side, where you've got your cargo scoop. So if I drop the cargo scoop,
deployed.
Blue light comes on. Handbrake.
Cargo scoop retracted.
Which is there. I keep it on the front of my throttle, the handbrake. But also one of those will light up when you're in the right position to board your ship. So, which can be tricky actually sometimes, depending on where you've landed your ship. But there you go. Right, so now we can board the ship. So you can hotkey this to board the ship, but I don't bother because there's rarely ever a point. There we go. And we go back aboard. Clunk. I actually don't know if there is a station in this system. Your filters, by the way, on your navigation panel are like lifesavers. They'll save you so much time. No, there are no stations. So we do need to go to another system. But that's not a problem. Not a problem at all. Let's go all the way out there. Exploited by Aisling Duval, who I'm currently pledged to. So that's handy, isn't it? One jump away. We can make that easy. Barely any fuel. Right. So there you go. Same procedure. Boot up your engines. Up you go. Kick up some dust.
Landing gear retracted.
And you're off. And once your mass lock light goes out, which will be a lot faster if you actually point it upwards and boost. Also, if you put all of your pips, your little power distribution pips into engines, like that, it'll always be a lot faster. Mass lock light is out. Align with your escape trajectory, which is usually like 90, well, it should be 90 degrees. Hit your super cruise.
Frameshift drive charging.
Tell you where your escape vector is anyway.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Did Beth leave already? I think Beth left quite a while ago, I think. But when I'm doing this, as you know, I'm struggling to keep track of who left when and where they go. There you go. See the surface of the planet retreating behind us, or if I go into camera. Now, I wouldn't usually use this ship for exploring if I'm making quick hops. So, like, if there's a system I need to get to for a certain reason, so, like, if I need to go there and find, I don't know, materials, for example, which don't weigh anything, or don't take up any cargo space. So, if I need to find materials, I need to get there quick, and it was a fair distance, and I wasn't planning on doing anything else, and I knew the danger was relatively low, I would take my Diamondback Explorer, which is like got a longer jump range than any of my other ships currently. But as I said, I've recently started again, so, you know, I haven't over-engineered the ships to a great degree. Right, should be far enough off the planet's surface now. That's behind it, though, isn't it? That's there. Sorry about the frame rate drop, everybody. PC seems to be really struggling at the moment. Just checking to see if it's melting. Okay.
Frameshift drive.
There we go.
Charging.
Now,
4, 3, 2, 1.
wind back your throttle to make sure you don't plow into the sun if you get distracted when you come out the other end of hyperspace. Honky. Oops, that's the surface scanner on this ship, not the Discovery scanner. Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, different fire group. There you go. Honky Discovery scanner. Just in case you haven't been here before. Find a station. Or a settlement. There we go. That one's a fair way out, but to hell with it. Let's go. Now, future Elite Dangerous videos I don't know when they're going to be at the moment. Might be a while. I don't know. It might be next week. I doubt whether there'll be one next week. The reason I don't make more of these is not... Don't need it, but okay. Whatever. The reason I don't make more Elite Dangerous streams at the moment is because... you know, my computer struggles with it a bit, so I have to shut down all unnecessary programs to make it run fine. Oh, don't want to do that. Not while I'm playing. So I have to shut down all unnecessary programs to make it run fine. But because I'm out of USB ports and I have my flight controller on my spare keyboard, but I also have my Stream Deck, I have to go to the back of my machine and unplug something that I rarely do to make sure I've got enough USB ports for everything I've got here, because like my only USB hub is full up. It's just a lot of faffing around, so I don't do too many of these, but I will do more of them in the future. And when I do, we'll do some more interesting stuff, like I'll take you guys out maybe to the Witchhead Nebula, and we'll check out some Thargoids and Thargoid ruins and stuff like that. We'll head out there. We'll go to some other places. Oh, I'll tell you one other thing before I go. For those of you who might be new to Elite Dangerous, who might not know this, if we go into the galactic map, so here's basically you've got, if we put on the power play thing, you can see the bubble here, right? So this is the bubble, what they refer to as the bubble. So the systems that surround Sol and their various power play factions highlighted by the very different colours, right? But there's a place a long way from here. A very long way from here. 22,000 light years, if I'm not too much mistaken. Yep, there you go. 21,974.85 light years. So 22,000 light years out at Colonia. Long, 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 long way from where we are now. 22,000 light years from here. Now, if you're not familiar, there is actually a community in a centre that's grown up around Colonia now. But there was a... So this happened every month. Elite Frontier Dev refreshes the community events. Would almost forget the power play part. So yeah, every month they're like a community goals and events. So things that you know they ask the community to do, or the community can participate in, whether that's battles or you know, moving some sort of commodity from one place to another in huge numbers. And one of the earlier ones that they did back in, I want to say 2016, I think 2016. Excuse me, was to bring materials, a community goal to bring materials to a station, to fuel a station mainly called Jacques Station. Now this station was designed to make long-range jumps across hyperspace, and the idea was that it was going to go out to Beagle Point. Now Beagle Point was originally discovered by, I can't remember the name of the commander, but basically named after his dog that had recently died. I can't remember. So he called it Beagle Point, but it's the farthest point that any player had reached in the game at that point. It's 65,000 light years outside the bubble. It's insane. The distance is just ridiculous. With my little ships, I hate to think what it would take me to get out there. However, so Jacques Station was designed with the intention of making a jump out to Beagle Point, 65,000 light years away. But I wasn't actually involved in it, so I've only picked up on the... I remember when it was happening. I remember following in the newsletters and things when it was happening, but I was like busy with other stuff. My young daughter had just been born, and but I remember when it was happening and what. So I can't remember whether it was actually affected by the players bringing Thargoid tech aboard, or whether that was something that was planned by Frontier all along. But it was supposed to make a long-range jump to Beagle Point, but it misjumped and disappeared. Right. This is one of the things I really love about Elite Dangerous, the lore and the community involvement and stuff like that. And it misjumped and got lost, so it disappeared. Right. And Frontier imagined it would take players a very long time to find it. It actually took a month, I think, or was it 2 months? Well, anyway, in a very short period of time, way shorter than they thought, someone accidentally stumbled across Jacques Station and found where it had jumped to. And then they found it in the system of Colonia, and it's been there ever since. So Jacques Station is now out at Colonia, but Colonia is 22,000 light years away, and there is, at the time, there was no inhabited space between here and there. Now, there are a few spotty places between here and there, but most of that is dark space between here and Colonia. There's nobody there. Nowhere to refuel, no stations to go and restock on. Basically, a lot of people made the pilgrimage, if you like, the journey out to Jacques Station to see it, and a lot of them just stayed there, and the Frontier Dev basically built up a community. So a community has built up in that area. So there are now other stations, there are resources, the things you can buy, the shipyards. You know, not a lot of it, but there is a lot if you want to go out to Colonia and see it. And it's a hell of a journey, 22,000 light years That's a long trip. How the hell did he get there? What's a Beagle Point? Lots and lots and lots and lots of hard work, would be my guess. I mean, you can engineer, and if you use cone boosts, so like if you use a neutron star boost, you can boost your jump range temporarily. If you do it right, you can boost your jump range by, with a neutron star, you can boost your jump range by, I think it's 400%. And it does do a little damage to the module, so if you keep doing it, you need some way of repairing the module. So you need some way to repair onboard modules if you're going to make long trips doing stuff like that. But you can boost your jump range, and if you've engineered it to the max as well, if you get a ship with a decent jump range anyway, and you strip everything out of it that you don't absolutely need, and you engineer the hell out of it, and then you get a Guardian frameshift drive booster, and then you use the neutron cone boost, then you can get out that far. It's quicker. It's still a long time to go 65,000 light years, but yeah, he was a proper explorer. But yeah, even Colonia is 22,000 light years. But yeah, getting out 65,000 light years, that's a hell of a trek. There we go. 75% at 7 seconds, if you don't want to do the loop of shame. Try to align yourself with the mail slot if you can. If not, doesn't matter. But especially if you're doing smugglers runs, try to align yourself with the mail slot. What I'll do is I'll go into this station on silent running and see if I can get them to squawk me on the radio and say we've lost you, which they will sometimes do, because you'll disappear from their scanners because you reduce your heat signature to virtually zero when you close all the heat vents on your ship in silent running. A little bit closer to that planet than I really want to be, but never mind. Hear that rumble? That's when you're being affected by the mass of an object. So we can align a little bit better than that, and it's never exact. Like when we come out of Super Cruise, it won't look exactly like that, so we'll be probably aligned slightly differently than it shows that we are. But if you're doing smugglers runs, this is a good idea, because you don't give them, if you keep up your speed above 200 meters per second, or close all your heat vents and go into silent running, they can't pick you up on the scan. Unless they get really close. There we go. Out of Super Cruise. Boom! Yeah, see? Misaligned, not really like it showed in the thing, but it's not really an exact science. What?
Echo. Station services are prepped for your arrival. Greetings, Commander.
Thank you. So now, as we approach the station, let's just get docking permission.
Landing authorized. Proceed
Thank you.
to landing pad 20.
Now, if I... 6 kilometers away, so... Oh, sorry. I have to have the starboard lights on the right side. You don't need to do that at all. Don't worry about it. It's just me being... It's my pedantic nature that has me do that. It's absolutely not necessary. But if I now close my heat vents, if I can remember which button I have it keyed to, silent running. They might squawk me and tell me they've lost me. You'll see. They might. They might not. Nope, seems like they don't care. But I will have disappeared off their scanners now. But of course you build up heat doing this, so you don't want to be doing this for very long. Release it once you're inside, because once you're inside they can't scan you anyway. Or well, if they can, they don't, they won't.
Landing gear deployed.
Oop. That wasn't a pretty landing. Gets the job done. Wasn't pretty though, was it? Go through sideways, flight assist off. There you go.
Landing complete. Deploying ground services.
Thank you. Go through sideways, flight assist off. So what Jan's talking about there, to make flight in Elite Dangerous more easy. Let's see, what have we got? Post-it notes. So make flight in Elite Dangerous more easy. They basically counteract your thrust, so that when you stop your joystick in a certain direction, the ship eventually comes to rest by itself, because it's counteracting that thrust with another thrust, and they call this flight assist. So that when you just, otherwise, when you just thrust and then release to the center on your joystick and release, it would just keep going in circles. Okay? So what they do is they have flight assist, which counteracts that thrust. So as soon as you release, you lean your joystick over to one side, right? So roll, pitch, whichever one you're using at the time. So let's say you're rolling, right? And what flight assist will do is as soon as you come out of your roll, you release your joystick and it corrects to center, your ship will stop because it will be corrected. But you can turn that off, which is very helpful in combat, which means that when you set your ship going in a direction, whether that's roll, pitch, yaw, whatever it is, it won't stop moving in that direction until you counteract it. Sounds simple enough, and it does get simpler once you get the hang of it, but it can be tricky if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, it is the trickier way to fly. Flight assist is on by default, I believe. I've certainly got mine on, but if you turn flight assist off, and I do have a key binding for that, if you turn your flight assist off, it can help you in combat. Because let's say, for example, you can keep going in one direction like that, and you're running from the person behind you, let's say, turn flight assist off, and what you can do is turn your ship, but retain that momentum, and fire at them. So it can be helpful, but it's tricky to get the hang of. So I will be doing future Elite Dangerous streams, but when the next one will be, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm going to stream on Wednesday. I haven't the faintest idea. I really no clue. Don't tell me this. Ugh. I'm trying to check whether YouTube's kicked me out again. Sometimes it does. Let's hope it hasn't. But yeah, I'll be doing more Elite Dangerous videos in the future. When I will be doing more Elite Dangerous streams, I don't really know. But hopefully at some point we'll be doing stuff like, we'll be heading out to the Witch Head Nebula, or we'll head out to the Jameson crash site, or we'll go out to, I don't know, we'll use the cone boost at Jackson's Lighthouse, or, we'll go explore some deep space anomalies and stuff like that. We'll do that kind of stuff. SnowRunner. No, I'm not going to stream SnowRunner. And the reason I'm not going to stream SnowRunner, HJ, is because when one of my good friends starts streaming, HJ's talking about a game that we play together. We play SnowRunner. And I've recently started playing it with him, and HJ's recently. But KZ and Pilot, who you'll see in here from time to time, play that quite often. Pilot has been streaming it since he started streaming. And because he started streaming it, that, to me, is always going to be Pilot's game. So I might join you or make the occasional thing, but generally speaking, I'm not going to do that. So, like Valheim, everybody is playing Valheim at the moment, but to me, it's KZ's game, and I've no real interest in streaming it, so that's KZ's department. But no, I'm not going to start streaming SnowRunner. Not very likely. If I do, ever, it'll be a one-off here or there, but it won't be definitely a regular thing. But yeah, I'll find something else to stream. But I will come back to Elite Dangerous and stream it at some point, hopefully soon. But when I do, it'll be, to do more interesting things and stuff like that. SnowRunner featuring HJ stuck in the mud. More than likely featuring me stuck in the mud. And KZ. And HJ. Pretty much everybody but Pilot, really. He's going to do Outlast. No, he isn't. But that is all for today. I've overshot by like half hour, but you know how passionate I get about this particular game. I will stream Elite Dangerous in the future. We'll do some interesting stuff, but when that'll be, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming on Wednesday yet. I haven't got a clue. I did have some other ideas before I came back to Elite Dangerous, but so I'm not sure what it's going to be. But I will stream it again in the future. I just don't have any definite dates for you yet. But thank you very much for joining me. I hope I was able to answer the few questions that I did get. Thanks, Baron, as always. Thank you, Finn. Is very often in here. Thanks, HJ, as always. And Weevil, thank you very much for your constant support. And to all the other people that were in here today, Geggs and Beth, and people like that. Thank you very much for joining us again, Jan. And thank you to... Who else we got in here? We got Bongo, Baggins, and Knives, and all the people that have joined me today. I appreciate your support as always. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you again very soon. But until then, from Knights Arcade, this is Sleepless Night saying nighty-night.